After a 5-month sabbatical, we're back and bigger than ever with what promises to be one of the best seasons in recent memory. Temora sets the scene for the opening round of the new-look Penrite Australian Championships with an impressive field of entries, 36 all up, including both reigning world champions, Australian Fonzie Mullen and New Zealander Ollie Silverton. Mullen, of course, is the reigning and 8-time Australian Unlimited Superboat champion. His 2018 world title, though, a distant memory thanks to the effects of the global pandemic. But with the next World Series expected to come in 2025 in New Zealand, the 2023-24 Penrite Australian Championship provides the perfect platform from which everyone can gauge just where they sit on the world stage. For Mullen, he remains the benchmark in the unlimited category, but just recently the 9-time Australian champion elected to move away from twin-turbo development to focus his efforts solely on the development of his GM Motorsport naturally aspirated engines. Having been at the forefront of twin-turbo development, Mullen's decision may just allow drivers like reigning New Zealand champion Rob Colley to continue that development curve into 2025. Colley having taken delivery of Mullen's latest twin-turbo engine to add to a collection that includes a number of engine and hull packages that have their own world title winning histories. He also has 2016 Unlimited World Champion Glenn Head in his corner working on engine development, so he is more than ready for what's to come. Colley, though, has had mixed fortunes in Australia in past seasons, but like Mullen, he has almost unlimited resources and is desperate to add a world title to his name. A chance to go head-to-head with Mullen on Australian soil this season, the perfect opportunity to see just where the benchmark will be heading into that next World Championship. Without question, this will be the battle of the unlimited field this season, but don't discount Mullen playing a cool hand. Sure, he'd like nothing more than to add another Australian crown to his already impressive resume, but a 10th national title versus a second world crown might just see some sandbagging during the season as he looks to keep his cards close to his chest. Whilst the reigning Oz #1 and the reigning New Zealand #1 go head-to-head, there will be challenges. Chris Edmonds showed last season that he has the pace to push the mighty hazardous machine that Slade Stanley took to a dominant win in the 2019 Australian Championships. That lightweight NA package prompting Mullen's change of philosophy to focus on the lightweight naturally aspirated route. Sharing the driving duties last season with 2-time Australian champion Daryl Hutton, Edmonds showed just how quick he could be, and with some more weight saving and performance tweaking in the off-season, alongside his role as the only driver of the popular Blue Boat this season, he has been marked as the wild card in the field, with plenty of focus on the wild. Hutton too cannot be discounted. 2 quick visits to his home country last season as second drivers to Edmonds in yet another new boat saw the expat Kiwi claim 2 outright unlimited wins. And while some suggested he may have been lucky, in this sport you're rarely lucky twice. Back in his twin-turbo Stinger that Edmonds drowned during the opening round last season, Hutton has also been working on taking weight from the American automotive machine. And if he succeeded, could well be another driver to watch come finals time. But he won't be alone. Tyler Finch having made some big moves during the off-season and also with a far faster built twin-turbo power plant. He too could push the leaders, making for a very interesting season ahead. Sadly though, we'll be without the mighty maniac, Tremaine Duke electing to stay on the sidelines for the opening round to continue development of his twin-turbo powered machine. To return at Keith in March after many years tucked away in a garage highlighted by teething issues. Duke's admitting that he will only return once the boat is capable of fighting for a world title. So let's take a look at the entry list for the opening round. Mullen leads the charge with the coveted #1 plate, but he'll have no shortage of competition with Rob Colley, Chris Edmonds, Daryl Hutton, Tyler Finch and local hero Scott Krause in the mix. But don't discount Sam Everingham in the mighty Excalibur or reigning Oz #4 Glenn Spider Roberts. Both are capable of making the podium. Whilst the thunderous unlimited machines will have the fans on their feet, arguably the battle of the season will come in 400 class. The last 2 seasons have seen some fantastic racing, albeit with slightly condensed fields. However, the battle for outright honours has been a big highlight and promised to be again before the news of the addition of reigning world champion Ollie Silverton came to pass. During the Australian-based 2018 World Championships, Silverton was the standout performer in International Group A, the New Zealander coming in hot to all but embarrass the leading Australian teams with lap times that were effectively light years faster than the local teams in the tightly regulated category. That was 2018, but things have moved forward in the last 5 years and Silverton may get a surprise, as might the Australians. But that again is part of the reason he's here as we shape up for a World Championship battle in early 2025. For reigning Australian champion Brendan Doyle, he can't wait and is prepared for whatever the opening round delivers, understanding that the perfect way to extract your best is to go head-to-head with the best, and at this stage, the reigning New Zealand and world champion is just that. Like the unlimited class though, the 2 reigning champions won't have it all their own way. Doyle and Silverton likely to find some spirited opposition, not the least from the driver who narrowly missed both the 2021 and 2022 titles, Victorian Jody Ely. Ely is one of 3 teams that is now campaigning the new Australian-made pulse hull, which will see a battle in itself as a number of local teams switch from the successful New Zealand-made hulls to Daniel Chain's Pulse, a product which won both the Unlimited and 400 class Australian titles last year. Ely also has a fresh new power plant and renewed enthusiasm after falling agonisingly short of the 2022 title, and he's out to make amends. 2019 title holder Justin Roylance will also campaign a new Pulse package, but he will sadly miss the season opener due to some parts delays. Hugh Gilchrist's new Matrix package also likely to be held up by parts deliveries, but both are expected to make their debuts at Keith on October 14. Throw in reigning Oz number 3 Danny Napick in his new Sprint Tech that he debuted at the penultimate round last season, now complete with a new more powerful engine, and you have the ingredients for another tasty title fight. Reigning champion Brendan Doyle leads the field with the Oz number 1 firmly engraved on the side of the boat. But it's world number 1 Ollie Silverton that likely starts favourite, although he will have to come to terms with the new Australian 400 class regulations, which will see him campaigning methanol and aluminium heads for the first time. Jody Ely's reigning Oz number 2 will also be in the mix, as will Danny Napick in his revised Toughen Up package, while Simon Doyle in the original Girlfriend will have plenty to keep him company with Hugh Gilchrist, Noel Verning and former 350 class champion Andrew Medlicott well in the mix. And whilst the 2 long-standing categories will no doubt enjoy much of the fan focus, the emerging LS class will also see some fantastic action as the relatively new category pushes for its inclusion into the next World Series. A scenario which has also attracted a number of entries from across the Tasman looking to build on their experiences against arguably the benchmark in the sport, 2-time Australian champion Bastian Mullen. Like his title-winning father, Mullen was the standout last season, completing a whitewash of the championship, father and son claiming 7 unobstructed wins apiece. Whilst both line up as undeniable favourites in their respective classes, both will face renewed and revitalised competition. For Bastian Mullen, his greatest threat could well come from his younger brother Nate, who was one of the standout performers of the closing rounds of last season. Whilst for 2019 champion Kyle Elphinston, he is determined to turn the tables on his younger rivals and has been working tirelessly across the off-season to develop a package capable of returning him to the top step of the podium. Elphinston won't be the only one looking to challenge the reigning champions. The father and son duo of Matt and Mitch Malthouse will also be back in contention. The younger of the 2 drivers showing at home in Keith that despite only a few short races behind the wheel, that he has the ability to threaten the leaderboard. The Keith locals determined to be a part of the title fight, but like Unlimited and 400s, they too will face some fire from across the pond. Like Australia, LS class is developing quickly in New Zealand, and 2 regulars in their championship have combined forces to make an assault on the Penrite Australian Championships. LS regular Matt Nan joined by 400 class frontrunner Matt Harrod, the pair expecting to be joined by additional New Zealand-based LS class entries across the season, making for yet another enticing battle at the Anzacs. For the fans though, the action doesn't stop there, with a number of new teams making their Penrite Series debuts, joined by others with new or updated equipment, making for what promises to be one of the most entertaining seasons on record. And in all of this, we have to remember that this round also signals the return of the perpetual Colin Parrish Memorial Trophy, awarded to the most consistent team across all finals. Last season it was taken out by teenage sensation Bastian Mullen, and before that by local favourite Scott Krause. As for who will win the coveted prize this season, that's anyone's guess. So stay with us this weekend. If you can't join us on the bank at Lake Centenary, we'll be streaming from mid-afternoon Saturday, whilst a highlights program will go to air in about a month's time on 7 Mate. And for anyone wanting a review of the 2022 season to get themselves fired up for Saturday's action, you can catch that on demand on Australia's leading subscription service, 7plus. For anyone that has not seen V8 Superboats up close, make sure you get yourself to an event at some point during the year. We're at Temora to kick off the new season in early September before returning to Keith in mid-October ahead of the final round of the calendar year back at the Cabarita circuit on the north coast of New South Wales. February sees a double header in the New South Wales Riverina with events at Temora and Griffith, whilst the season comes to its conclusion at the annual Keith Show in late March.
Out for them to come up and be able to get back in on the factor that, you know, Jody's going to now double duty the boat. So we will be in the Superboat with Jody Ely yet to come out in the Pulse boat, which that's huge. So Fonzie Mullen
not coming out this run. Fonzie's still down in the pit. Maybe he's just sat out.
Okay, so Fonzie.
Jody Eli's walking through the pits there.
Jody's still walking across the pits to get to the Pulse boat. Yeah, so it doesn't look like Fonzie's actually going to come out for this round potentially. I thought they tried something and the boat went backwards in the previous run, so... Oh, how good is Edmonds off the launch? He's got a smile on his face a mile wide with this boat at the moment. So, went a little bit slower than Q1 at a 40.7 with a 41.96. Split goes 18.329. Improves by 6/10. That was a big wide line. It had some momentum about it though.
Right, so taking that wide line doesn't always...
This is going to be a game. 40.267. He is sneaking up on the 39s. Sneaking up on the 39s. 40.269. That's a big gain for Chris Edmonds, getting more and more comfortable in that boat.
Just the ramjet machine just coming out of the pit tent there now. So
yeah, okay. So they might have made some changes and just put them out of sequence, getting down to the boat ramp. If you went and asked Fonzie, I'm sure he'd be keeping it close to his chest.
I'm sure he would be.
All right.
How it goes. So these guys made a few changes.
So Nick Perry was telling me just before, on throttle with more throttle, the boat's a lot better, whereas before Daryl was having to get on and off the throttle to settle the boat down, where it was knifing in a little bit, so it had too much turn in, but it looked a lot better. So they need to look to go better than a 42.373 to improve. Split at 18.395. He's just found a second to the split.
It's very unsettled up through that back section there, so I don't want to be very happy coming out from under the split there on the right here.
Actually 18.377 to the split, so he definitely made a gain, but it was a little bit untidy in the second half of the lap, but does improve to a 40.826.
Picked up a fair bit, and I think he's still left a fair bit out there, so we're going to see a 39 from Daryl. It's up 40 from Daryl in the next run or two or so.
Yep, definitely getting more confident in the boat. So, as I said, with the changes they've made to the boat, it's definitely picked up the front of the boat to stop the water coming up over the bow, but he's having to drive the boat a little bit differently now because it's a little bit too aggressive on turn-in, but it drives better on throttle. Right, loose cannon. So, Tyler.
Real good play with this thing. So, brand new package. Turned up in the country 3.5 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, that's not long ago.
They made a few changes at the end.
Oh, big bounce. What was the split? 18.713. So he's just again, he's pulled 7/10 out of his previous best, but it was a little bit ugly on the approach. Looking to go quicker than a 43.226, Mitch.
Not happy with the way the boat's reacting at the moment. Tyler's a little flighty in the wheel there. He hasn't had
41.513 is still a big gain. Like, that's a good probably 2.5 seconds.
They'll be happy with that, but I'm pretty sure, they'll get back. They're going to keep playing with the rear end of that boat and just try and get a little bit more grip. You can just tell that they're not entirely happy with it, but that's the beauty of these things. We can go back and make a little change, and he'll come back out, hopefully gain on where he's at right now.
So in the battle behind Fonzie, Chris Edmonds and Daryl Hutton are within 2/10 of each other. Guys that raced the same boat last year. All right, Rob Coley, he was impressive in the previous run with a 42.545. Running a little bit out of sequence in this one. Big backfire off the start. It just about deafened our starter.
And a wrong way, straight out of the box.
I think that was that more of a drama with that big backfire maybe?
I think so. So he'll get back in here. So he's re-corrected now, and he's back on line.
That was huge. So this is not going to be so. He came off a 40.668, which puts him in that sort of Chris Edmonds, Daryl Hutton range within 2/10. So the split blows out to a 31.5. If you're on the live stream, welcome and following the coverage here. The first round of the 2023-24 Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships. 3 Kiwi teams.
We got a message come through from Paddy Hayden. He's listening to the live stream, watching the live stream. So
53.088 for Rob.
Hello to all the Kiwis over there, keeping an eye on your guys.
Yeah, 3 guys over here this weekend. So if you are watching the live stream, guys, thank you. Welcome. It's a little bit cooler here in Temora. We've already seen a little bit of drama here this morning. Rob Coley, well, he rocked in a 40.668 in Q2. But a little early nav error after a huge backfire off the start. I don't know if that was part of the issue, but went straight to the wrong direction, literally within the first 2 calls. But you got Rob at a 46.68, Chris Edmonds and Hazard is at a 46.29, and Daryl Hutton at a 40.826. So those boys are within a couple of tenths of each other and not too far away, but Fonzie Mullen's got them covered with a 39.556 in Q1. Excalibur out onto the circuit. Sam Everingham, his best has been a 41.965, so he'll be another one trying to get into that 42nd club. 510 cubic inches of mechanically injected. 510 is it a small block or a big block? Big small block or a small big block? Everingham's split was at 18.682.
We know this boat of Sam's. He knows what he's doing. We've seen it.
Well, he's just found 4/10. He's just found 4/10 to the split, so he should be up. Good clean second half of the lap to the line with a 41.5 flat.
It's an older style sprint tech that's around the same vintage of, say, Cole's sprint tech.
So just found 4/10, so 41.50 for Sam Everingham in Excalibur. So those on the live streams, and again around, if you're getting people to go to the live streams off the official V8 Superboats Facebook page or the YouTube channel, again, if you're getting texts and people asking you to pay for the live stream, please don't do it. Don't click on it. It's a free live stream for a start. So if you're getting asked for money, walk away. It is not the right one to be on. So
especially, and I don't want to sound rude
I'm
here,
waiting
but,
for this.
if it looks like they should be running a 7-Eleven, there's a good chance that it's a scam. So don't click that. I've just deleted a few off our pages. So yeah.
Mitch Roylance's comments are no way, shape and form classified by AFJSA, and I wasn't going to go there, Mitch, but yeah, look, basically, guys, I mean, if you're already on and following the live stream, it's probably a little bit silly to be telling you, but like, if anybody else, you know, you're pointing them in the right direction, just let them know. Don't pay for a live stream. Don't click on anything that you don't know about, because it is a free live stream, and you don't need to. All right, now, so we thought Jody was getting in the girlfriend.
No, this is Simon in this one.
Oh, Simon's back out in his own boat, so what in the heck is Jody driving? that when maybe the next round. Okay, we'll figure that out. So we'd heard he was going to jump in the Pole's girlfriend boat. Simon hasn't actually done a lap in this boat. They had a ring gear issue earlier on after chasing some fuel pump issues there last night. Simon Doyle in the boat that was the girlfriend, now the mistress. So this is his first lap, so we've got nothing to sort of base ourselves on lap time wise, so he just needs to get one in and get it scored. First split at 26.01. 27.01 to the split. If he gets this rotation right first up, it's a good effort because we're in qualifying session 3 and he hasn't actually done a lap yet. So from here around the top, he'll go through the centre, go the zigzag around the island, left, then the right to the last corner, picks up the throttle, completes his first lap, and he will bank a 58.28. 58.28 in Q3. Q1 did not start, Q2 did not start. So apparently Jody Ely, after damaging the Rampage boat, is going to get into that boat, I would say, in the next quali session, or are they lining up to get in it now? It looks like Jodes is getting suited up. So they've got they may drop off the back of the last Superboat boys, because Fonzie's out of sequence. He's on the boat ramp now as Blown Budget comes out. Can you keep up with this?
They're all over the place at the moment, but
keeping us busy.
Keeping us busy, mate. We get to see this.
The boat looks really settled for a 632 mechanically injected big block. It has a bit of a pendulum thing going in the back of it with the extra weight, but for an older style of boat, it looks really, really settled, and he's been finding time down to a 42.5 in Q3 with Jasmine Galambos sitting alongside. And he's driving it beautifully as well. Looking to improve on a 42.5, and he does with a 41.904. It went 18.8 to the split, so he found 2/10 in the first to the split, and then found probably another 4/10 at the end, so that's a good improvement for the big boy. 41.904. So we haven't seen chaos out in this round. Mitch.
No, and I did see Scott. I was just having a sticky beak at something, but I did see Scott walking around out there with no helmet on. So
boys out the commentary window reckon Scotty's just going to not do this round. Well, the boat's not in a bad spot because he was in the 40.7s in Q2 and made a huge improvement in the twin turbo 440. All right, here's Fonzie Mullen, reigning world champ, 8-time Superboat champ. Has done his best lap in Q1 into the 39.5s. Made some changes, I reckon, in Q2, and it actually lost some time, but he straight-lined the island over the back there, which Hazardous did exactly the same thing, and it sucked a little bit of time out of the boat. So one of the fastest, if not the fastest, accelerating superboat in the world out of the start chute. This thing is just a weapon. So went 39.55 in Q1, slowed up a touch to a 40.29 where the boat didn't look as settled. Best split's been at 18.07. 18, didn't get a split. Actually went 17.5 in the 39.55. So no split here. This might be on a manual timer, but the boat looks a lot settled. A lot more settled than it did in Q2. Quite a wide line up there at the top part of the circuit. Mitch brings it down to the line. This might be on manual time. Looks sharp. So we'll just wait for confirmation. I don't think that was as fast as the 39.55 still. Didn't get sort of an idea of where the split stands at. When he dropped into the 40.2s, it went 18.08, but has been as fast as 17.5 to the split. 39.700. Seriously? 39.700. So I was right, it was slower, but not by that much. It was only like a 10th in it. So status quo, Fonzie Mullen maintains position number 1, but that battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, we've got 3 boats probably covered by no more than a couple or 2 or 3 tenths of a second. All right, so it looks like Jody's got into the Mistress boat now. This will be the completion of the Group A class. We should have LS pulling up onto the boat ramp for Q4. So this will be Jody Ely. That time of Fonzie's 39.700. So Jody Ely, if you're just joining us on the live stream, Jody Ely and Brooke Towner, they were on a bit of a run in Q2. Ran a little bit wide on the run down here to the split, just bounced off the bank, took out the timing and ended up on the grass, but it took a whole hunk out of the side of their brand new Pulse. Did you actually get to look at the boat, Mitch, like it is fairly significantly damaged?
Yeah, the side's pushed in on the cage, which isn't a huge issue, but Jody's just concerned that it may have damaged underneath the boat, which does all the work. So,
and doesn't the steering run down that side of the boat?
And the steering, so if there was no, if it didn't look like the damage underneath that you can see, he probably would have got the sledgehammer in there and belted the side out and fixed the steering. But because that underneath's got a little bit of a whoops in it, he didn't want to risk it. So.
A bit of a whoops. Needs a big sledgehammer to fix the whoops. So Simon, the Doyle boys have kindly loaned Jody the Mistress boat that hasn't actually done many laps so far today with a ring gear problem, and yeah, unbelievable. 1 and 2 in the points. The guy leading the championship, winning the championship last year, has handed another boat over to 2 in the points last year to have a bit of a battle going. So he's just cruising at the moment, splits at 23.8. So again, I think it's just about, I don't think Jody's going to do anything silly here because he's got respect for someone else's gear and just needs to try and get into the 6 and get some points banked. So with the round, so there is a round drop you can do, Mitch, throughout the championship?
Yeah, so out of the 7 rounds championship, drop round, Jody was looking at that option. But he does his drop round now and he gets a little bit of misfortune later in the season that really ruins him. So he's got the opportunity here to just bank some points just to keep his nose clear. But yeah, going out in Simon's boat, he's just going to take it easy. And yeah.
51.611 for Jody Ely, current 2 Australia. Damaged his own brand new Pulse. Sad to see we are into round number 4 of qualifying here at Temora. Round number 1 for the 2023-24 Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships, welcoming 3 Kiwi teams over this weekend. We've already got some expat Kiwis here in the pits as well that run here regularly with the Australian Championships. Some semi-retired ex-Kiwi commentator joined up with a semi-retired jet sprint racer, now kart racer next to me, Mitch Roylands.
Got to fill our time in somehow, mate. That'll be right. We'll get back out there one day. Can't do everything.
Right, Bastian Mullen has been the class of the field in LS, which has been really competitive. 41.505 now. He banged one off the bank in Q3 and lost a bit of time, backed up to a 42.4, but went 41.505 in Q number 2. Best split's been in that 18.8 second range, and he's on that now. Goes to the split. No split on it. So this might be on the manuals as well, but it looks quick. This I reckon will be on a par with that 41.5. It'll be quicker. The boat just looks more comfortable and settled. I think they tried something in the last one and didn't quite work. This will be on the manual timers, so we'll just wait for that to be confirmed, but that looked pretty quick. This should be solidly in the 41s. First 2 numbers are, I'm about to call Lotto. I heard 41 from next door. It was in the 41s. Where was it in the 41s? So yet to go quicker than the 41.5. 41.685, so it wasn't too far away. 41.685 on the manual timers, so he's only a tenth off his best. That looked a lot more settled than the previous lap, Mitch, where he did bang it off the bank on one occasion.
Yeah, he's just narrowing his lines up a little bit there. They'll just slowly work on it over a couple of runs, getting ready for the finals when the pressure starts to mount up.
So he's the only boat in the 41s. Got Kyle Elphinston in the 42.3s. Has been his best, and they had a little issue in the Q3. You seem to think it was an ignition issue?
It sounded like a bit of an ignition issue there, yeah, a little bit backfirey when he was out there, but he was saying, I didn't hear it, but saying about a bit of a high rev when they put it back in the water, so I'm not sure, there may be a throttle issue there, but to me it sounded like a breakdown in ignition when he was out there on the track.
So it's not like he sort of got out of the throttle on the approach where he made the issue. It was drop back. Laurie Howlett's out there. It's a little bit of a cavitation there as the boat bounced sideways. So it was far enough back that it wasn't sort of trying to unhang the throttle. It was before he got to that point. But it's a hard one to sort of try and describe. The other one that's been solidly in the mid-42s has been Matt Moldhouse and Nude Nuts, although they did have a rotation error in the previous round. So Laurie Howlett's gone 20.40 to the split. And 44.273, 2 tenths slower than his previous best at a 44.062. So Laurie's trying hard. Now, you know how we thought he'd made a rotation error in that first qualifying run? Broke the throttle pedal off it.
That'll
do it.
Every time, I reckon.
So they've been chasing throttle issues where it was, so it was going to the back of the boat where it is on the engine and over-centering and kept going into limp mode. So they got that sorted. And then in the first run, when he's on the gas, it actually physically broke the throttle pedal off the thing.
This should be Matty Harrop here. So, our Kiwi contender that's over. Unfortunately, the boys in security were too busy making movies and TV shows instead of getting the boat ready. So
Yeah, couldn't sign off the last part of the process because the only people they had there could sign off agricultural equipment or tractors, not roast boats from New Zealand. So the Twisted team have kindly given Matty the opportunity, the two mats. Split was a 20.652, so 300s down on their best. So they've gone the best of a 45.775 so far in an unfamiliar boat, but he is getting quicker every time. Might have thrown a little change into this time. It's a little bit slower to the first split. Down to the last corner, Matty Harrop and Matt Nairn with a 45.253. Picked up some time in the second half of the lap. So where they struggled was in the first part to the first split because they were down by 200, but made up some time in the second part. So they improved to a 45.253.
I'll be pretty happy with that. They can still drive it back and put it on the trailer, so that's always a win. Especially if it's somebody else's boat.
All right, we should have Rhino Day and Aggravation out next. We're into qualifying session 4 for the LS class here at Temora. You muppet.
Just had a message through. We've even got the guys over in the US that are racing this weekend watching the live stream. So, g'day to everyone over there.
So out that left bank, off that start, Mitch, you were talking about this boat running pretty rich. Yeah, you can see it there now heading back down towards us. Quite black haze off the back of the boat where you were sort of thinking it was, All right, so Rhino Day's been as fast as a 49.639. Goes to the splits with a with a 22.13. So that should be an improvement if he can keep it up in the second half of the lap. Son Tyler's been very, very impressive in this double-driven boat later on in the round, so keep an eye out for him. Tyler's been very, very aggressive. Ooh, a little hesitation over the back there where he sort of had a little turn at a relatively straight piece of track, but he should improve. Goes 48.652. 48.652, and that is an improvement by about a second.
Boat looks like it's sitting a lot neater in the water now than what it was earlier, so they might have made a few changes or changing the driving style to suit, not sure. But yeah, no, he looks like he's pretty happy with that.
48.652 for the Aggravation A team, Ron O'Day and Paris O'Day. Daryl Hutton's out here next to us talking to Slade Stanley, and Daryl's got all of the hand actions going. He looks like a Thunderbird at the moment. But he's definitely got to grips, getting better with the changes they've made to the Phoenix Lubricants boat. All right, here's the Nude Nuts boys. Matt Malthouse and Leighton Collins had a nav error in the previous round. Then the boys got on the boat and skipped it across the island down the far end of the course in front of the spectators. These boys have been as quick as a 42.57, which has them right in the mix for a top four. Straight lines over the back. Wasn't as close up to the bank as a couple of the boats were earlier. Goes to the split at an 18.934. 18.934. Could this be into the 41s? It's a good clean lap so far. Made a little error in the previous run. Can he sneak into the 41s out of the last corner? Yes, he does, just with a 41.988. 41.988. So he will only be the second boat into the 41s, behind Bastian Mullen, because Kyle Elphinstone and Blackout Racing's gone 42.3. So great lap from Matt Malthouse.
Still left a little bit out there, I feel. Easy to say from up here, I know, but yeah, when he come down through into the split there, he knifed a little bit, so he would have washed off a little bit there, but you know, he's having a go, so it's as long as he improves every run, next run will definitely be.
He's only the second boat in the 41, so did you get a chance to catch up with these boys, Mitch?
They were just getting ready to come to the boat when I was down there,
so new this weekend to the class, doing double duty. It's a Sprinter cull. Fun fact, they like snail racing. This is Adam Salks behind the wheel with Jody Cottam in the navigation seat. They'll swap seats next time round. Goes to the split with a 21.807. That's a gain. That's a 4/10 improvement to the first split. So these guys debuting this weekend. We know that for a fact because they got 2 practices earlier on today, and they've sort of been trading fast times and within a tenth of each other, so they both know what they're doing. Really, really well presented boat. Wide line into that last corner and goes 41. No, that's not. That's Matt Malthouse's time, sorry. Adam goes 47.869 and improves. 47.869, improves by a second.
Pitted down there with the borrowed time team, so that'll make an assumption to say that they're Queensland based.
That'll be entertainment. Yeah. Especially if you're hanging around with the borrowed time team, Mike Hessel, expat Kiwi. Right, so 47.869. Jode, what's Jody gone in the same boat? 49.8. So look for Jody to make a similar improvement next time around. So these two guys are doing a really, really good job seeing their on debut here. Talking to some of the guys in the pits, they said they've done a couple of practice days up at Cabarita, just south of the border, Queensland and New South Wales. Beautiful part of the world. Cool track. That'll be the place we go to for round 3. Speaking of Mike Hessel and borrowed time, this is borrowed time, but it's not Mike Hessel. This is Luke Walters and Juzzy Calvert, who normally run Spartan, got invited to run this boat and actually pushed Mike into the B driver. And these guys have been trading fastest times all day across this boat, and I guarantee the talk down in the pits will be spectacular. Goes to the splits with a 20.927, so improves again. You said Mike Hessel made an improvement to the boat. They were playing with the jet unit last time out. He made a big improvement. So 20.297 to the split. Looking to go better than Mike Hessel's 45.951 in the team battle. Can he go quicker than a 46 here? There's lots of navigation going on in the cockpit. And he goes 46.676. 46.676. What did Hessel do? 45.951. So Mike's still got the advantage by about half a second.
Bragging right still goes to...
Bragging rights to Hessel. Bragging rights to Hessel. He's not listening. Yeah, now he is. Flash new race suit too. So that's a good sort of inter-team battle there with them both racing the same boat. So 46.676, and I'm pretty sure Mike has gone 45.951. Yep, definitely went 45.9. Right, which one of the twisted, disturbed? This will be Darren Pollard in disturbed. Boat number 77. So their fastest has been a 47.429 in Q3. Down to the split for Pollard with a 20.651. I reckon they're on the right direction to improving their time. Down around the front, in front of the crowd here at Temora, onto the front straight. Swing around the back, both of the back islands, back through the centre with that zigzag around the big centre island. Down to the last corner. Nice on the throttle across the line with a 45.880. 45.880. That's a big improvement, about 1.5 seconds for Darren Pollard. Sponsored by Leader Machinery, New South Wales, Central Coast Kitchens and Wardrobes. Boys will be happy with that. Darren Pollard and Stephen Muvich. How do you pronounce that, Mitch?
Yep.
Good.
Stephen.
Thanks for your help, mate.
Stephen with a PH.
Thanks for your help. All right, should be another expat Kiwi out on the water. Lance Edmonds didn't quite go to plan for them the last time. They had a rotation error, which they corrected. Time blew out to a 60.31378. Have gone 47.62, 47.51. Chris Edmonds' nephew. Apparently they've got a practice jet sprint track on their property. Were they good to Windy?
Hey, Chris is up good to Windy, but Lance is down around Hay.
Hey. Sure they grow a lot of hay. Right, so they'll look to tidy up from the last run, but this is an Atchison hull. I thought it was an older boat, but Mitch said it's only probably 3 seasons old. And they've really transformed this boat in the 12 months that they've been racing. So the split goes 21.724. They've gone quicker than that to the split. They went 21.503 with their 47.5 in Q2. Might have gone just a touch conservative considering they had a rotation error in the previous round. We're into qualifying round number 4. Lance Edmonds, Peter Sendy bringing the big solid gold boat, 48.05.
It was easy for you to say.
48.054. So they lost about a half second on their fastest outright, but again, that should see them solidly in the 12, unless some of the other guys around them sort of improve more. I reckon that 50-second mark is going to be the bump for the 12 going forward, with one more round of qualifying left to go. Takes us into the 12, 6, and then the top 3 later on, and the finals should be just sort of getting into dusk here, and we'll bring the lights into the equation here at Temora, which is a fantastic facility. Right, Kyle Elphinstone, they will be looking for retribution. They had either a throttle problem, a fuel problem, or an ignition problem in the last one. We're not 100% sure, but right about there it just went flutter, and then he shut it down about there, idled back to the pit. So whether it hung a throttle open or what, we don't know, but he's back on the journey now. Former LS Series champion back in 2019, was in the championship hunt, battling Basti and Mullen last season. goes to the split with a no split time. So this one might be a manual one as well. But the boat looks pretty good and settled, Mitch.
Yeah, his lines are nice and smooth. He's not knifing. He's taking a good entry and exit there. So he's carrying plenty of speed. Whether it's enough, it's enough for now.
I'm going to say a low 42, maybe a high 41. It'll be a manual time, so we'll just wait for confirmation on that. Boat looked pretty settled. I think he's left a little bit on the water. It's not in the 41s, but it's not too far off. Just wait for confirmation. 43.3. So no, actually backed up a little bit more. 43.30. Okay, so I wasn't expecting that. Maybe they are carrying an issue.
You might have just held back a little bit with that issue in mind. I know I've had laps where we've gone out after an ignition issue and the boat shuts down. You just keep that in your mind, so you spend a bit more time listening to make sure it doesn't start breaking down in case you get into a corner and have a flame out.
And when you go in full noise, yeah.
Once you have a flame out, you've got no steering, so he might have had that in the back of his mind. And
I mean, it was only a second, but, you know, it just didn't look as sharp. A little bit of black haze out of the back of the hotshot boat. Again, another LS running a little bit rich, maybe. So this is Rodney Norton, second season in jet sprinting.
big hesitation which way to go there. Nearly out of the split, about 13 seconds early.
So they've upgraded to the Stinger hull this year from the yellow. I'm pretty sure it was a Stingray or a Macraft last year, and they've got an extra 100 horsepower into the back of the boat. To the split, it went 22.361. So that's actually their best split. And Rodney, believe it or not, folks, on the live stream is an organic garlic farmer. I'm pretty sure that's unique to jet sprinting anywhere in the world. We've got an accountant running. She'll be up a little bit later as well, Karen Howlett. Good run for Rodney Norton, and that's a solid 49.016. So a 3/10th improvement there for Rodney. So made up 3.5 tenths in the first sector, and then was probably pretty static in the second one. So maybe just needs to look at making some gains in that second part of the lap. The best lap of the weekend so far, a 49.016 for Rodney Norton in hotshot. Halfway through the LS fourth qualifying session, Group A next, and then Superboat. That'll lead us into the fifth and final qualifying session. And time-wise, I'm just trying to think where we've got. I think the break is it before the 12? Dinner break at about 5:15 after the 12. Qualifying session 5, it may be 10 or 15 minutes behind time, but we lost a little bit of time after Jodie Ely took out the timing. That didn't help. Right, this will be Jade Atchison in the 777.
James Machin.
Oh, is it Machin back out there in the Quad 7?
Quad 7.
They did not do, it is 2, they didn't do Q3 with an issue. Right, so James goes through at a 24.6 to the split.
The boat's still throwing a lot of water up over the bow there, which makes it hard as a driver. You can really see what you're doing. Late turn up there at the top of the track. Makes it a little bit floating down to the way, but you've got to be pretty happy with that.
Time is 53.595. 53.595. So, look, they've gone as fast as 50.787 in that first session. So, whether they've got an issue with the jet unit, with the bucket or something like that that's affecting the balance of the boat, they have been 3 seconds faster earlier on in the day. So, they must be chasing some issues with that boat. James Machin and Louis Borg, sponsored by Attack Engineering and Stash House. Toxicity. Try saying that 3 times fast. Nate Mullen. Second to the Mullen boys, and Nate's been finding time solidly throughout the day. On the podium pretty much most of all of last season. Works with his dad at GM Motorsport. Fonzie, of course. Stinger with the Ramjet. Updates, Ramjet Jet Unit shares the boat with Bastian Mullen, who's fastest so far. Has been as fast as a 43.094. Goes to the split in an 18.852. So well up on his previous best by a couple of tenths. So a good clean lap coming up here from Nate Mullen. Can he get into the 41s? It won't be far away. A little bit of a bounce into the final corner and goes 41.664. Yes, he can. 41.664.
Actually put him to the top of the timetable there, mate.
In the session, yes, but he's now only a tenth down on Bastian, who's gone 41.50 in Q2. That was a good lap. Very, very good lap. 41.664. So it was his best split. I'm just trying to think what Nate was. Nate's gone 18.8 to the split, so that was right on the money, that one.
Karen Howlett out here now in the Drop Bear B team.
We talked about the organic garlic farmer and Rodney Norton. Karen is an accountant, sharing boat driving duties with husband Rodney. She hasn't got a rotation wrong so far today without putting the commentator's curse on her. She hadn't done a lot of racing until I think she debuted last year. So her best has been a 60.123.
What's Laurie gone in this?
Laurie's gone 45.2.
44.0.
44.0, yeah, 44.0.
406 is
After Laurie broke the throttle pedal off it in the first quali. So the split for Karen was a 27.273. That's her best split of the day. Has gone as fast as a 60.123. I reckon she's going to go faster than that. And she does. Cracks into the 59s with a 59.644. So that's a good improvement for Karen Howlett and Drop Bear B. 59.644.
Jade Atchison.
Should be the 777 of Jade Atchison. She's been one of the stories of the day because Jade got into the 45s in the last round, and I reckon she'll go faster here again. So he went 20.6 to the split, 45.86. Her fastest run of the day. Aggressive off the launch, a bit of a pop, backfire as it sort of got up out of the water initially. Carrying a lot of throttle with Erin Kearney sitting alongside. A couple of young ladies. Jade has really been improving to the split with a 20.418. Improves by 2/10 again. Low 45 maybe coming up. I don't know if she'll find enough time to get into the 44s in this one, but I think by the end of qualifying 5 she'll be sort of cracking on that 44 second mark. Nice clean second part of the lap. Very nice around the last corner. 45.289. Just found another 6/10. She's not far off the 44s.
I think she'll get there if she keeps that up. That was a very clean lap. Both sitting very nice in the water. It's just a matter of finding a little bit more pace probably out of the jet unit. Engine sounds strong, so...
So she's just done a 45.2. Maddie Harrab in the same boat went 45.2 in Q4.
Bit of development through that jet and all that, I think, mate. I think they'll progress that thing nicely. I think they'll be pretty happy with where they're going with it as well.
This young guy has been impressive today. He was impressive last year, probably didn't have the consistency, but certainly knows how to use a lot of the racetrack, but young and aggressive and very, very fast. Best lap so far has been a 43.521 for Tyler O'Day. Solidly in the 12, pretty close to probably being in the 6. 19.6 was the previous best split. Haven't got a split here for this one, but it looks pretty solid. So looking to improve on a 43.52.
Come up on the inside of that.
You go to the inside of that boy.
That boy again, so he's definitely cut the fine lines.
Boat looks nice in the water, a lot better than it did last year. This will be a manual one. I'm going to say that was quicker than a 43.5. If not, it is right on that territory. Don't know what the split was. Has it gone faster than a 43.5? No, actually backed up a touch. 43.92 on the manual timing, but has him still solidly in the top half of the field. 43.92. Nude Nuts B, Mitch Malthouse, Harrison Collins. These boys have gone 43.9. They had a little rotation. Oh, actually, no, they skipped across the island in Q3. I think in the second half of the lap, so they've gone around the top, banged off the bank, and it fired it straight over the island, actually right here. They've turned in there, it's banged off the outside bank and fired it across the grass, and he was still full throttle when it got it back into the water. Split for the Nude Nuts B team is a 19.627. So they've just found 6/10. 19.627 to the split from their previous best, which was a 20.07 in Q2. They'll look to improve here. Can they get into the low 43s, maybe high 42s? 43.320. 43.320 for Nude Nuts B. So that again will have them solidly in the top half of the field, with the dads having a little bit of time over them, and only the second boat into the third boat into the 41s. We just saw Nate Mullen sneak into the 41s. So next out should be Steady Eddie B, Jody Cottam, Adam Salk. So they've swapped seats. Daniel DeVoit, could we have you to the tower, please? Daniel DeVoit, could you come up and see Gordon in the tower, please? Daniel DeVoit. Right, Steady Eddie B.
I think Steady Eddie might have had a flame out by the look of that.
Yeah, Kiwi Pete's just jumped over, or has it got sucked into the water pump? No, it might have had a flame out. Just nosed it back to the boat ramp, so they might have a little issue. Still got borrowed time to come. They're just Steady Eddie B. Jody Cottam just wafting back to the trailer, so they've got an issue going with that boat. Group A boats are heading towards the boat ramp and not too far away for their fourth qualifying session, and then into Superboats. So the Steady Eddie B team, they'll have a little bit of time. I don't know what the time window is, but if they don't actually make the start, I think they maybe got a 5-minute window to try and get back up and running to complete the round. Mistress is warming up on the boat ramp with Simon Doyle. Mike Hessel's on the trailer in the water in the borrowed time B drive, but it is Mike's boat. So just a little bit of a delay here while we try and sort out what's happening with Steady Eddie. I would say borrowed time's probably going to hit the water first. Pete's just checked belts and things like that. He's a busy boy down there on the boat ramp, is Pete.
I think he loves it though. He gets right into it. Thorough with his job. It's good to see.
Yeah, so it'll be Mike Hessel. Jamie Moroney sitting in the silly seat with Mike. So this is the ex-Justin Roylance jet speed for the Kiwis back at home. It's the ex-Hughes supercharged rotary, one of the most insane sounding boats I've ever heard. And Peter Hoos, I remember commentating back in New Zealand Speedway back in the day, very good TQ racer. And then raced sprint cars. And the boys got into jet sprinting. So the Spartacan boys are down on the grass in front of us. So Hessel's got the advantage, yeah? Yeah, sorry, just pointing that out. Well, it is his boat. All right, Mike Hessel, he's got as fast as a 45.921. Mitch had a chat to him. They made some changes to the jet unit, which definitely livened the boat up. And it sounded like Mitch had sort of got it back up into the RPM range where it was sort of starting to suck down in the water and load up a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, he's had a dramas. He wanted to get the boat to cool down a little bit more, but yeah, he's still trying to take the revs into it, which becomes where the art is, trying to get it all worked together.
Went 28.34 to the split, so picked up 3 100ths to the split, so he's on pace to get and stay in that 45-second bracket. Can he go into the 45 and a halves? Goes to the line with a... Oh, yes, he can. Spartan, 45.5. Lougie Walters, they're double dutying the boat. These guys are competitors. They're good mates, and Hessel's got the advantage at the moment. That was a good lap. 45.523.
I reckon the guys will be pretty happy with that. The guys in the boat, I think the guys...
No, I think Luke and the boys will be pretty happy. But look, the improvements that they're making with the boat. So, I mean, you guys know the boat well. Mitch, obviously, your brother raced it to an Australian title and had some dramas with it last year, but good to see it back up and running strongly with Mike Hessel, who came out of an older boat that honestly did not handle as well as that boat, and he's doing a really good job.
Yeah, no, I think the guys will be stoked. When I was talking to them down in the pits there, they said it's just totally different to drive after getting out of the boat that they were in. So I think a little bit more seat time, they'll keep creeping up on it, and they'll be one to watch in the future.
All right, so the back to Steady Eddie boat back down into the boat ramp, so that should come out. That'll be the last boat to complete qualifying session number 4 for the LS class, and that'll lead us into Group A, which at the moment, defending series champ Brendan Doyle, it's got that comfortably under control with a 41.1 in Q3 with the JRE Pulse package, and that's just getting back down into the water now with the big 1 on the side of that beautifully presented Pulse race boat. So that looks like they're backing down the Steady Eddie B entry. Jody Cottam.
Penrite, Australian made, family owned and operated. Make premium quality engine and racing oils, warranty approved coolants, automatic transmission and manual gear oils, a complete range of engine and fuel additives, heavy duty and industrial products for every application. Visit penriteoil.com for more information. Penrite, Australian made for Australian conditions since 1926.
Jody's gone 49.813 and Adam has gone 47.869. So if we're expecting to see a 47 from Jody here, because they've basically been trading times across the boat. Went to the split at a 22.285, so made a 10th gain.
Probably a little bit aggressive in where going in under the split there. She might have lost a little bit of time there, but the rest of the lap seems pretty good so far.
Here's that wider line we've seen from a couple of boats through the centre down to the line with a 48.772. So improves, but Adams got the advantage at the moment, 48.772. So looking at the times, I reckon that 50 I was sort of suggesting now probably comes down into the 49-second bracket now that we've got some more laps under the belt to get into the 12 for LS. Group A next. Qualifying session number 4. So still 7 boats in it, with Jodie Ely now jumping into the Mistress boat to get through the rest of the day. started with 8, didn't have the mistress early, missed 2 rounds, and then we lost Rampage with that big off down here in front of us and took out the timing system as well. Good job from the team here to get that turned around and repaired and fixed.
We should see a bit of a change in lineup here now. We should see the mistress out first because they're running A and B.
Yeah, I would say that's the case.
See them warming up on the ramp.
All right, so Simon's only done 1 lap, went 58.28. Relatively new to the sport. I think spent a bit of time in the mines, came back out of that last year and jumped into the boat that started the season with the TJ, Tremaine Dukes. Looking forward to seeing TJ come back into the sport in Superboat with a boat they're just sort of trying to get a handle on, and they want it to be competitive to make their return. Do you know anything about the boat that they've got?
As far as I'm aware, I think he's back in his original package with the twin turbo setup, which was Heat Seeker.
Okay.
But yeah,
we should have Darren Kesper back at some stage in Group A. In his boat, they just were a little bit short on getting some belt modifications done before this round, so I saw that appear during the week. All right, so Simon Doyle in the Mistress. What hull is this one?
this started life as a Stingray.
Okay, so it's a modified Stingray.
Racing the boat in the World Series 2018. I grenaded an engine at Keith, so this was previously owned by Sam Everingham, and Sam was away in Fiji on a wedding, and I drove the boat. So it was living around the corner from the track. Sam offered it, so we managed to put it together a couple of days before and racing the world. So
22.918 to the split. So he's just found 5 seconds to the split. So that'll definitely be a big improvement for Simon. Oh, he had a couple of goes of thinking about which way to go there on that last part of the sector. It nearly went right when he needed to go left. Eventually it did go left. So around the top, through the centre with that zigzag. Last corner to come, big right-hander. On that wide approach and down to the line, that'll be a big improvement for Simon Doyle. Goes 51.157. And that is a 7-second improvement over his previous best.
I'm sure he'll be happy with that, considering he missed out on the first couple of runs.
So just for the teams in the pit area, we will definitely run qualifying 5. Qualifying 5 will run. We will shorten the dinner break a little bit later on, guys. All right, so we will be running qualifying 5. Just a heads up to the teams in the pits. Yes to qualifying session 5. That has come from L Race Director, Sir Brooke Lucas. All right, Brendan Doyle, current national champion. The Pulse JRE combination methanol fueled aluminium headed small block Chevy has been the benchmark so far this weekend. 41.180 in Q3. Oh, navigation error. Yeah, I just thought it went through there wrong, went the wrong way. Okay, Brendan is human, just made a mistake. Corrected it, but you ain't going to go quicker than a 41.1, so okay. That's not gone to plan for the current national champ.
That didn't sound...
Ooh, that's dropped a cylinder.
Down.
That's more than dropped a cylinder. Okay, so there's a couple of dramas going on there. So the time ended up at a 56.793, but I think the Doyle team's got a few more dramas going with the girlfriend boat. So a rotation error, and then it definitely went flat, like it dropped a cylinder, and then it sounded like it dropped more cylinders.
I noticed after his regather and going back up the top end early in the lap there was a big puff of smoke coming out of it. So whether he's had a little bit of a lean out and heard a Heard the plug, hopefully, something only minor like that.
Like, it's still running. If it had dropped the oil pressure, it would have just shut it down. It was still running down here into the pit onto the trailer, although now it has shut down. All right, so this has gone nuts. Andrew Medlicott, Jason Anderson, these guys back to the sport last year after about 17 years off, returning to the sport. Actually won an Australian 350 title back in 2002. Mitch reckons he was still at school. I don't know if I believe that personally, but anyway. No split, so this will be on a manual time. They've gone 51.7 to be their best. Definitely sound it's not pulling the RPM of some of the big boys in the Group A class. But good to see them out there. And oh, that was very, very wide. It nearly got the bank on the run down to the line. So this will be a manual time for Medlicott. Q4. Doyle went 56.793 with some issues, but he's got Brad there from JRE. They'll be looking at it. 50.895. 50.895 for Medlicott. So that's their best lap of the day. So they're heading in the right direction after, I think, a navigational error in the last one, which they corrected. For the Kiwis, Ollie Silverton, current national champ, current world champion, and by all accounts, I understand he shellacked the Aussies at Cabarita and Keith and Mitch. Sprintec hull, this is the hull that he actually won the Worlds in, with a new combination put together by Graham at Magnum Automotive with the aluminium heads running on methanol. Hasn't quite been there yet, but first time ever at Temora. Fastest lap so far has been a 42.310. The benchmark's been a 41.1. Goes to the split with a 19.589 first. In fact, actually a little bit off. It's gone 19.2 to the split.
He did bog it a little bit coming into that split there, so whether that's lost a little bit of time, but the rest of the lap seems pretty quick so far.
Yeah, it was nice out the bat. A little bit of a bounce there off the infield. Down to the line with a 42.783. 42.783, so it's actually backed up 4/10.
But he is the quickest in this this session so far, so...
Has been as fast as 42.310 in Q3. So has to find a little bit of time to take it to Brendan Doyle, but has Brendan got some issues? Did not sound nice when it came down out of Q4. All right, the Toughen Up boys, Danny Napick, Cliff Bamford. Danny's a former water ski racer. Hello to New Zealand, any of the water ski boys watching the coverage. And just quickly, while I remembered, if there's any of the offshore guys watching, very sad news to hear that Barry Thompson has passed away. Certainly one of the legends of offshore powerboat racing and a big member of the powerboat community over there in NZ. So commiserations to and all of our thoughts and best wishes to the Thompson family. All right, Danny Napick has been one of the big improvers. He clipped the back, that little apex over the back. You can see the muddle picked up in the water as he goes to the split. No split on it. It's going to be a manual time.
Once again, coming into that split, he sort of bogged it a little bit, so we wanted to change his line into that right hander to go back under the split next time he comes out.
Has been as fast as a 43.279. And to the line with... We'll have to wait for this one. Just trying to see where Silverton time was, because... .783 it was. 42.783.
We've got a 44.935.
44.935 for Toughen Up. Yeah, so they gave up a little bit of time there.
Noel Verning out now in the quiet time, coming out of the No Traction Racing stables.
So Danny had been as quick as a 43.2. These guys have transitioned out of the LS class. Oh, that got wide. That definitely sucked up some mud out of the bank over the back side of the racetrack.
I was saying that he has having a little bit of dramas with the back of the boat sort of floating around a little bit, so I think that may have a bit something to do with that.
Looks a little bit better this time. Q2, it was horrible, like he couldn't actually drive it. Goes to the split with a 21.607, so he's a little bit down. No, in fact, he's up. He's up. I'm looking at Napic's time, so 21.607, so he's well up on his previous best split. So Q2, it was horrible. He couldn't drive the boat. He nearly spun it out twice. So he's come out of the LS class, debuted last year, so just his second season in the sport. Big bounce out of the final corner and across the line with a 47.983. 47.9, that's a huge gain. 2.5 seconds, so that's a huge gain for Noel. 47.983.
He did spend quite a bit of time on the loud pedal then, so I think he's just starting to get that little bit more confidence in it. He's just going to drive his way through it, I think.
Actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong. It is still an improvement because he went 50.687. 47.983. What did Simon Doyle do? 51.157. So this will be Hugh Gilchrist in Matrix. This boat is for sale. They've got a brand new Pulse. Should debut at the second round of the championship at Keith in South Australia. Round one here at Temora for the 2023-24 Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships. I think Hugh made a nav error in the last one. The time blew out to an 83.279. This looks better already. A little bit of a bounce on the run down of the split with a 22.276. So he's a little bit down on his best with a 22.04. Might have just backed off a touch after that rotation error in the previous round. So looking to consolidate here and go forward. I think just waiting to see if Jodie Ely's even coming back out in the Mistress. Time for Hugh Gilchrist, 47.866. 47.866. He has been as fast as a 47.555. 47.866. So haven't seen. There is one of the boys in the tow wagon for Mistress, so they're going to be a little bit out of sequence as the first of the superboats are back on the boat ramp. So I think Jodie will come out, but they're a little bit late in the sequence to complete the round for Group A, and then we're into the fourth qualifying round for Superboat with qualifying session 5 to follow. So the superboats are going in the water. Daryl Hutton, Chaos back in the water after missing the third round.
I believe they had some issues with charging, so they might have had to
Oh, okay.
sit the boat on the trailer with the battery charger going flat out to try and get.
Well, they're sponsored by Century Battery, so it's probably not a bad thing to have access to that sort of stuff.
Spare battery.
One of the local boys in town here in Temora. Cross Marine and Automotive. All right, a very happy Chris Edmonds. Into the 40s, he's knocking on the window, knocking on the door of a 39. Wife Ange sitting alongside. Double duty for Daryl Hutton back in New Zealand before Christmas and into the new year, where Daryl took a couple of Superboat wins up against the resident Kiwis, pair of expats. Has gone as fast as an 18.3 to the split. We've seen Fonzie in the 17.5s. Very quick into the splits. Don't have the split in front, but it looks good. This might be a manual time lap as well, but it looks pretty good at the moment. The boat looking very settled in the water. We know this boat's fast. Slade Stanley has won in this boat. Chris Edmonds loves this boat.
Daryl Hutton loves that boat.
Daryl Hutton loves the boat. All right, so this is going to be a manual time. Has he cracked into the 39s? I reckon it's going to be a low 40. It's a manual time. Waiting.
So it is. That's the 40.26 is correct.
40.267. All right, well, he just found 2 ten-thousandths of a second. So he hasn't cracked into the... so it went 18.329. Okay, so he's on a similar pace from the previous round. All right. Who's out next? That looked fast. It looked smooth. 40.627 for Chris Edmonds and Ange Edmonds in the hazardous. Stinger, 480 cubic inches, mechanically injected small block. Pulls huge numbers in the RPM. Oh, actually, no, hang on, they've just corrected that. Yeah, wasn't a 39, but it couldn't have been any closer if he tried. How about a 40.033? 40.033 for Chris Edmonds. I thought that was the time from the previous run that was still on the menu. So 40.033, it went 18.3 to the split. Chris Edmonds so close to that 39-second barrier, and look, at the moment, that comfortably puts him in P2. What's Krause done? 40.7. Yeah, 40.7. So Daryl Hutton on the water now. Daryl has improved to a 40.8, so he was within a tenth.
This time out, looks like he's a little bit harder on that loud pedal. He doesn't look like he's taking any prisoners this lap.
It's definitely down to the split. A little bit of a bounce though. Split goes 17.725. He's on one.
He's on a flyer.
17.725. He's just found 6/10. Hutton is on a mission. It's wide. He bangs the bank in front of the crowd. That just sucked a second out of it. He was on a mission. And then it ran wide. May have done a little bit of damage to the back of the boat. The jet unit might have just clipped the bank. He cruises across the line in a 42.647. 42.647, but Mitch, what was like, he ran a half a second to the split. He was up that far.
Yeah, mate.
Ooh, what might have been?
I think Daryl's definitely laid the gauntlet down on what can be made out of that boat.
So hazardous went 18.3 to the split. Hutton went 17.7. Chaos. These guys have been into this 40.7 range as well. If they can get into that 17-second bracket, they have had some charging issues by the sound of it in the pits. Missed Q3. Local teams, Scotty Krause and James Parsons in the Castrol, Century Batteries, Moses and Sons, Krause Auto and Marine Stinger. 440 cubic inch twin turbo, and the split 18.02. He's knocking on the door. 18.02. He has been 17.7. Has been fast to the split. Didn't run as wide as Hutton did on that previous lap. So I reckon this is going to be another probably a high 40 if he hasn't tidied up the second part of the lap. 40.397. Wow. That did not look like it, but he has monstered the second part of that lap, Mitch.
He's definitely came home strong there with that back end of the track. But you know, from where his split was with the 18 flat, and Chris Edmonds with an 18.3.
So there's a 39 in that boat. If they can match that 17.7 to the split and do that lap, the second half of the lap like that, there's a 39 in that boat.
Definitely a 39. I think we're going to see a couple of 39s here. It's going to put some pressure on for later on. If Daryl Hutton can get the back end of his lap as good as the front end of his lap, I think he's going to be a big contender.
All right, Tyler Finch, a brand new, like 3-week-old,
3.5 weeks in the country.
Sprint Tech out of Peter Coey's shop. Peter is here this weekend at Temora. Off to America next week, I believe. He's got some customers running up there in the American Championship. So Tyler Finch.
They're running this weekend.
And they're running this weekend, and I think he's going to Ontario or something. So 41.5 for Tyler Finch and the new loose cannon. Another 440 cubic inch LS-based twin turbo combination. He is using all of the racetrack. Goes to the split in an 18.423. His best split of the day. He's just gained 3/10, so this could be into the 40s. Big wide approach on that run where it caught Daryl Hutton out a couple of runs ago. We've seen that sort of run work for some of the guys, some of them a little bit narrower, but trying to keep off the bank. This should be a good lap. This could be a mid-40 for Tyler Finch. 41.6, so it actually lost time in the second part of the lap because he's gone 41.543. He made 3/10 in the first sector. Is it just me, or did he roll out of the throttle early before the line?
He was in and out of the throttle a little bit, which is hard. And with the boat with that making that much power, it is hard to keep the power constant. But I think he's still having a play with that thing, trying to work out where the limits are. So,
well, he hadn't driven it before this morning.
No, exactly. And they've made a few changes engine-wise since they pulled it out of the old hull. So I think.
And Mitch, this boat's definitely capable of the 39s. We've seen the potential, rotation error in the last one, but has gone 40.668, reigning NZ1. The HRE twin turbo Chevy in the back of the boat. Sprintec hull. Rob Coley in Poison Ivy with Scotty Munro sat alongside. Ange didn't make the trip over. Hi Ange, you'll be watching the coverage, I'm sure, back there, and I'm pretty sure Wanganui. Let's see what it does to the split. Good first part of the lap. That was fast out of there. 17.746. 17.746. So on the 40.6, it went 19.0 to the split. Coley is on a mission. On an absolute mission. We could be solidly into the 39s here. Will it go quicker than Fonzie Mullins' 39.5? It's not going to be far away to the line. 38.708. Wow. Game on. 38.708.
8/10.
Wow. I've forgotten about the All Blacks now. Too early? Too soon? Put your hands together, folks, for Rob Coley and Scotty Munro. Booyah! 38.708. Like we were talking about 39s earlier on in the day. No one sort of even got close to that as they've tried things, but Coley has just gone down and thrown down a smashing 38.708. The Building King Limited HRE Engine, Sprintec Boats, Milton Bodyworks, MECL, Motorsport Electrics, Billet Twin Turbo Chevy, Excalibur on the water, Sam Everingham. I'm going to shut up for a minute. You can talk, Mitch.
Sam, I'm just keeping an eye on Sam's lap here. Just having to listen to that throttle response. Sam's spending a fair bit of time on the throttle, so I think he's probably trying to block out that 38 that he just heard. He's just taken that one quite wide, which has set him up wide for the exit under the split. See how Sam takes this one to the middle of the track, right through there. Nice, neat approach.
Went 18.695 to the split, so that's his best split of the day.
Sam's just creeping up on it. Doesn't want to go out too hard too soon.
And a 41.491. That's a half-second improvement for Sam Everingham, so that's a good improvement, heading in the right direction. So, put this into perspective, Mitch. So that 39.5 we saw from Fonzie earlier on in the day, Q1.
Yep.
It went 17.5 to the split. Rob just went 17.7 to the split and then whomped him out the back door.
I'd say with the turbo boat, that back end of the track has got a lot of potential and can open right up. So Rob's using as much of that as he can to his advantage.
LS to the dummy grid, please, for Q5. LS to the grid for Q5, please. Okay, blown budget, but yeah, it's interesting now. Like, well and truly interesting. If it wasn't before. All right, blown budget, Glenn Spider Roberts. Now they've gone as fast as a 41.9.
See how Spider handles this one down through the middle there. Knifes it a little bit, costing him a couple of hundredths or a couple of tenths there. So he's pretty safe in the middle of the track most of the run. Can't go wrong there. All in all, pretty neat lap there for Spider with a 42.57. Can we get LS to the dummy grid, please? Can we get all LS to the dummy grid for Q5?
So Excalibur went 41.491, actually improved by about 100, so had gone 41.5, so it wasn't improved, it wasn't as much as I thought it was, because I was on Glenn Roberts' page. So Glenn, what was the split? It went 19.007, he has been faster than that, and then out the back door it went 42.571. So for the first time today, Blown Budget's actually gone backwards a little bit. They might have tried something.
Doesn't always work.
How was that lap of Rob Coley's, Mitch? Like, you could hear the crowd cheering when we called the number out. I think they thought it was fast before we called the number out.
I think they could see that it was fast. It was, you know.
Hang on, there's one more.
Still.
What's Fonzie got? Fonzie I think Fonzie knows that there was a 38.8 out there.
Well, Fonzie's going to have to go out there and
38.7, sorry.
See what he can do. See whether he can back to the second half of the lap up with that 17.7 that he threw down there earlier.
Yeah, well, he's definitely got him on the first part of the lap, but the boat just hasn't looked as settled over the second sort of half of qualifying as it did earlier on, whether they've changed some things and just tried some different things, but it didn't look as settled as certainly as that first lap. Like, it rocked off the trailer and went 39.5. Off the back of practice where it went 40.4, so yeah, and it went 17.56 to the split. So yeah, Fonzie's on the boat ramp. We should have LS getting to the boat ramp now, please, guys. Fonzie's just warming up the Ramjet 583 LS, the biggest LS Chev in the world. Pulse hull, custom-made billet Ramjet jet unit. Finally, and it's been a little while, someone's actually come to the party.
Someone's come to the party. The new engine out of Glen Ed's.
New Zealand versus Australia.
Is getting everything together. I mean, Rob's got a pretty intricate jet unit system there too that they've developed over many years, and out of the 30-odd superboats that Rob's got in the shed, I don't know. Andrew will soon let us know. He is a bit of a collector, but you know, they've done a lot of tuning with different materials and different designs over the years. And
so have you seen the videos of Rob doing rotations?
His rotations,
cutting the grass. So he's cut the track and the grass out the back of the property, and then run around on the ATV, getting to know the rotation. He's done it for this weekend before he came out from New Zealand. All right, Fonzie with the world's longest warm-up.
We got Jody sitting in the Mistress beside, ready to complete out the Group A after this as well.
Yeah, I see TJ's over there with the boat as well, just helping out with the Doyle boys. So Fonzie shouldn't be too far away. That'll complete Superboat, and then one run from Jody Ely to complete Group A, and that'll be the fourth qualifying session finished. Right, can Fonzie answer back with a 38?
This will
Bring it on.
Definitely be a run for everyone to keep their eye on. Fonzie
on your feet, Temora.
Fonzie would have definitely heard that 38 get called, so, you know.
It's been a while since someone's put a gap on him. It has been a while. Watch this thing launch out of the hole. Knifes through the centre of the infield. Little bounce out the bake again. It just didn't look quite as settled. Beautiful through the middle. Nice out the back that time as it ran back through its own wake to the split. It needs to be in the mid-17s. 17-2-1-1. Woo-hoo-hoo.
See if we can bring it home this strong in the
it's
back
just,
end of the lap.
It's just found half a second in the first sector split. Little bit better out the back, a couple of little bounces, but it's got traction, it's got pace, it's going to bring it down to the line. Get on your feet, Temora. That is a 38.367. Well, I think he answered that. 38.367 from the reigning world champion, Australian champion. 38.367. Put your hands together, Temora. We are seeing a battle royale.
We haven't even got into eliminations yet. We're still at qualifying. So
We're this excited at this stage. Well, you got to think both of them have got more time in them. Look, it might change a little bit under lights, but someone finally has taken it to Fonzie Mullen. But then, as we know Fonzie, he has just answered back in the most emphatic way and just rocked the joint. It went 17-2 to the split. 17-2 to the split. So he's just improved by 0.3 in the split, and he was already faster than Rob, and then just blown it away out the back door with a 38.367.
Put 3.5 tenths on him overall. So, you know, Rob's going to go back to the drawing board. They'll make a bit of a change there, and Rob will come out, and no doubt Rob will answer back in similar fashion. Jody Eli out here now. Jody unfortunately spattered out earlier and took the timing out, and a little bit of damage to his brand spanking new pulse hull. Whole new package put together with a new JRE engine, new pulse hull, but coming through that part of the track he had a bit of a mishap, so the guys out of the Mistress have kindly put their hand up and say, John, jump in here, keep your championship points alive because it's only early in the season.
Went 21.6 to the split, so he picked up 2 seconds from cruising around in the first time he went back out in the boat. So, look, it's not going to be anything stellar, but it's going to be a competitive lap to try and keep him at the pointy end at the end of the round here at Temora. Goes to the line with a 47.57. 47.57.
Beats it did not start anyway.
That's in that sort of top 4 territory at the moment. So that's what he's trying to sort of salvage out of the weekend. All right, back into the 5th and final qualifying round now. So we're going to have a short break, I think, at the end of this 5th qualifying round. It's all happening here at Temora. 4 rounds complete. 5th and final qualifying round to come. All right, in the battle for LS, it's the battle of the Mullen boys. Nate Mullen with a Bastian Mullen with a 45.50. 41.50. Nate Mullen with a 41.664. So there's only a 10th between the Mullen boys. And then you've got, I think we had... Who else did we have in the 41s? The Nude Nuts boys in the 41.9. So Matt Malthouse is on a bit of a mission as well. So just the 3 boats in the 49 and the 41s, and then you got a whole group of boats in the 42s and 43. So I reckon you're going to need to be better than 49 seconds to make the 12, with $19 spots trying to get into 12 to get to the top 12 a little bit later on this evening. Local time, we're coming up to, what is it, about 20 to 4. A little bit of cloud cover over. The wind's not as strong as it was yesterday, Mitch, which is certainly helping. It'll be a little bit more comfortable up there in the crowd, but I can definitely see a few hoodies.
I bet
A few blankets.
There might be a few Milwaukee jackets out there with some batteries getting the work out too, I'd reckon.
So LS on the boat ramp. Right now it is the battle of the Mullins versus the Nude Nuts boys. Youth versus experience. And there's only half a second covering the top 3 in the LS class going into this 5th and final qualifier.
I don't count Kyle Elphingston out either. He's even though he's sitting back a little bit at the moment, they've had a few little dramas with that boat, so hopefully he can...
He has been as fast as a 42.3, so like he's within 8 tenths, but yeah, I don't know if they're carrying an injury with it after that issue in Q3. Backed it up a titch, but as you said, Mitch, and look, you've raced, I haven't, may have just been a little bit conservative to make sure that he got it to the end rather than firing it off with another flame out at full noise and ending somewhere up in the paddock.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened, mate, but it'll be interesting.
Motor racing. Righty-hody, let's get some boats on the water here. So hello to our Kiwi and American friends if you're watching the live stream here from Temora. First round of the 2023-24 Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships. It's been a very, very cool day so far. We're into the fifth and final qualifying session and then into the finals. There'll be a little break between quali and the top 12 run for LS. Just got a little dinner break here while we reset things and let these guys get ready for that. And we're also racing today for the Colin Parrish Memorial. Now, that comes down to the three final runs with the most consistent 3 runs over those finals. Bastian Mullen won it last year, and I think it was within like a tenth or a tenth and a half of a second over his 3 runs in the finals. Colin obviously had a lot to do with, I think, the facility here at Temora and the sport itself in general, so we're celebrating that as well. So first boat out of the water is not Rip Shift. It is Drop Bear Racing Laurie Hallett. So Laurie's gone as fast as a 44.062. Broke the throttle pedal off it in the first run. We thought he made a nav error, but yeah, wasn't going forward if he didn't have a throttle pedal. Shares the boat with his lovely wife, Karen. So he went to the split with a 19.555. That's his best split. 19.555 to the split. So is there a 43 in Laurie Howlett and Drop Bear? He's not going to be far away. Nice clean lap. And yes, solidly in the 43s with a 43.553. Just found the better part of 7 tenths.
Be pretty happy with that. He was pretty keen sitting down here watching when racing was happening, so
I don't know if you can hear me. 43s, Laurie. 43. No, he's not watching.
I think he's too busy looking at traffic. Matt Harrop coming back out now, the one of our New Zealanders that have come over, but as we said before, he's stuck without a boat that's still sitting at the wharf, so these guys have jumped at this, so they don't miss out.
Not a bad boat to get into, and both he and Jade, who normally drives the boat, are within half a tenth or something of each other, so they're both on similar pace now. I believe Matt...
I think a little bit there, costing himself a little bit of time, but still getting his head around driving a different boat.
What's he going to the split? 20.182. Oh, gone. Parked it. Back in the water.
And still going.
It went 20.182 to the split. He went half a second faster than he's ever been.
They got a little bit untidy out of the split there.
A little bit untidy. Did he actually made the centre of the island?
No, when he come out of the split there, it's a little bit wide. He's going to tag a bit of the bank on the way out of the split, so...
48.729. So yeah, definitely time blows out. But yeah, look, I couldn't see through the wall of water where he ended up, but he ended up a fair way up over the top of the island. So he was given that all it went.
Yeah, I think he had Gumby arms when he came out from under the thing, and he was doing a few lefts and rights. Thought he was drifting, but anyway, he tidied that up. He saved that.
We didn't have to put the recovery crew to work, which in these conditions would just be criminal because it is cold.
I noticed they've all got their footy boots on out there, though, so...
Well, it's not a bad idea. I saw that at Cabarita for the first time, getting a little bit of extra traction on the bottom of the water. Right, Rip Shift. A little bit out of sequence, but Bastian Mullen. Reigning and 2-time Australian LS champion. Has been as fast as 41.505. He's got a 10th on his brother, Nate, who whomped in a big lap. Oh, that was wide.
Beautiful line up through the middle. Got to keep an eye on his race lines. They're very smooth. There's not too much correction.
Definitely ran down the centre over the back there. Didn't run up over the island that time. All right, it goes 19. No split. No split. Has been in the 18.8s for the split. Started out in the 19. So this one I think is going to be a manual time again. A couple of little glitches going on, but it's a good lap, Mitch. Hooked it out of that last corner. Let's wait for this time. So it has been as fast as a 41.505. 41.505. Not this lap though. We're just waiting for confirmation. It'll be a 41. Actually it's not. Sorry. It was a 40.94. 40.94 for Bastian Mullen. First of our LS boats into the 40s. There you are. Game on. He's just done what Dad did to Rob Coley. To his brother.
And he's got to get his brother. The Nude Nuts guys are going to have to pull something out of the hat. And same with Kyle Elphick. He's going to have to...
You watched those lines. I thought on the first run out the back it was a little bit wide, but like the rest of it, it was pretty tidy.
Pretty tidy. A lot of straight line. Maybe put that one a little bit wide because it might give you a bit better of a run down through the middle. Carry a little bit more speed if you take a little bit wide instead of knifing and watching a bit of speed off. So, well, maybe he watched a bit of speed off and he's still got a little bit left on the table.
Ron O'Day in aggravation, Paris O'Day sitting alongside. To the split with a 21.732, best split of the day by about 4/10, so there could be a low 48 on target here, which I reckon should have them solidly in the 12. Nice run up the front straight, gets that nice and clean. Fairly deep entry over the back. Not as aggressive as the younger of the pair. Oh, ran that wide, had a couple of direction changes, scrubbed some time off. Might just drop it back into the mid-40-somethings. 49.156, so definitely lost some time with that sequence running down to the line. 49.156. So not their best, but they were actually up at the split, but it got pretty untidy through the middle there, Mitch.
Yeah, Ron's still fighting that. The handling of that thing, it's still fairly tail happy. Kind of like, well, these things are like driving a forklift, I suppose, because they steer from the rear. But
that's what I always got told back in NZ, that you can sort of translate it to driving a forklift because they drive from the rear. Right, what's Matty Moldhouse got? He needs to be into the 40s. Has gone as fast as a 41.9. A big ask at the moment, but it was only the third boat in the 40s, and then Nate Mullen smacked down a mid-41.6 to be right on the tail of his older brother, who's just slapped in a 40. These guys have been on a bit of a mission. They had a nav error early. Looks tidy though to the split. 18.839.
Straight line up through that back there. We've gone straight over that buoy float there, which is a fairly ballsy move, but
picked up a 10th to the split, but that's not going to be enough to obviously get it into the 40s. But if they can improve and maybe get into the mid-41s, they'll have something to take on for the finals. Solidly in the 3 and a 41.860. So that 10th they gained at the first split continued on, and they've picked up another 10th, 41.860.
Millie will be pretty happy with that. He's gives Mitch something to chase anyway in a couple of minutes. So he's got bragging rights at the dinner table. What we got coming out next? We should have the Steady Eddie boat coming out next with Adam Sulks at the wheel. Just try and look down and see whether I can see it. I can't see it down there.
You got Kyle Elphinstone, you've got PSP, you've got Twisted. In fact, that'll be Disturbed.
That'll be borrowed time there.
Yeah, it's borrowed time coming off the trailer now. So yeah, no, So they had some issues in the previous round where it got pushed back on the trailer, got pushed off the trailer, started it out in the middle of the pit lane. So you were talking about maybe a reversing bucket?
Maybe a reverse bucket issue. They've started it up, warmed it up in the trailer, shut it down, pushed it off the trailer.
All right, so this is Luke Walters, normally drives the Spartacan boat. Spartan, sorry.
It is a Sprint Tech LS package. So he's only come to the sport last year.
So Mike Hessel's got the bragging rights over these boys at the moment by, I think, about a half a second. These guys have gone 46.6. To the split, they go 20.895. A little bit down, so they're actually They've gone 20.2, so a little bit down on the split. Whereas Mike Hessel's got into the 45, so she's got a second on them at the moment, but they've lost a little bit of time to the first sector split. Out of the last corner and down to the line with a 46.440, so they do improve. 46.440, so I think that was more made up in the last half of the lap. So they've gained a little bit. 46.440 for borrowed time. Luke Walters and Maddie Brandsma. Jazzy Colbert, sorry.
Here we see Darren Pollard and Steve coming out in the disturbed package.
So Steve's surname is spelt here Muhvich. Mervich?
Mervish.
We'll go with Mervich. One of the three boats out of the stable. And they're all beautifully prepared and presented. Right, so Darren Pollard's fastest lap's been a 45.880. Went 20.65. Big lift over the back and the direction change with another little lift. Must have had a little think about it. So it's gone 20.85 to the split. See if Darren can improve here with a 20.83. So yep, just a touch. No, actually 2 dents down. 20.83. So it has backed up a little bit. Other than a couple of the stellar performances now at this stage of the day, we're starting to get a little bit more mud in the water. Mitch maybe potentially slowing it down a touch.
Yeah, once the water thickens up a bit with the mud, sort of obviously makes it a little bit harder for the engine to turn. So guys will make changes on blades and nozzles and things like that just to compensate for that.
46.437. So Darren's he's lost about 6 tenths on his best lap, the previous lap in Q4 at a 45.880. So that's what they will park on to try and they should be solidly in the 12, you would think. I'm thinking that mid 48.5 to 49 second range is going to be the bubble for the 12. Lance Edwards out next. Lance Edmonds and Peter Sandy in the solid gold Atchison. So these guys have been in the 48, so actually 47.5 in Q2. Haven't been able to go quicker since.
Chris Edmonds built this thing a couple of years ago. With 7 Aitchison, they pieced it all together and followed the build, and then sort of stepped up from there and was building an LSA package that he was going to put in this, and then bought another hull, and now he's in hazardous. And
who's got more boats, Chris Edmonds or Coley?
Rob Coley.
Oh, didn't even hesitate. All right, split for Lance, 21.554. So that's pretty much on what they've done with their 47.5 in Q2, within 100th or so. So they're on that sort of early pace earlier on this morning, which should equate to a 47.5, maybe an earlier one than that if they can bring it home. A little bit of a skip out of that right-hander. And to the line with a 47.955. 47.955. So their 47.5 from Q2 will carry through to the 12. You should think that they should make the 12. Kyle Elphinstone out next. So we're looking for a 41 here from Kyle Elphinstone. And look, he'll be mindful of the fact that Malthouse is in the 41s, and at the moment the top three, the two Mullins and Nerd Nuts, and Kyle needs to crack into the 41s here to try and force the issue.
Bastion's actually gone.
Yeah, well, Bastion's gone 40.94 now.
Sub 41, so Kyle's going to be keeping that in mind, that he doesn't want to let him get too much of a...
Best lap's been a 42.320 in Q2. Best split's been a 19.3. Needs to be in the 18s to force the issue with Bastian Mullen. With Nate Mullen still yet to come, so what's he got left in store? Heading down towards us to the split. Boat looks nice and settled.
Well in the water, took that right here quite smoothly.
No split, this will be on the manual timing, so...
Haven't heard much of a exhaust node change from this, so Kyle just
good out of that last corner, especially. All right, we'll just wait for the manual lap times to be calculated. I'm going to say that's in the low 42s.
I reckon he might have cracked.
I don't know if there was a... You reckon there's a 41 in it?
It was neat.
Mitchie's going 41. I'm going to go low 42. Dun, 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 dun.
41.695.
We were both wrong.
I said there was a 41 in it.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant high 41.
Well, I did, but
Okay, he's in the 41s. So he's now like he's on the money of... well, he's gone quicker than where'd Nude Nuts end up? They went 41.8. So he's actually sneaked into that third spot. Hang on.
oh,
Hang on. Hold that space.
Change, sorry.
We were both wrong. It's gone out to a 42... I said low 42. I was right. What was it? 42...
42.619.
42.19? 42.619. Okay, so we were both wrong. All right, so there was a bit going on with trying to tabulate. We've got two backup stopwatches here in the tower to help do that, and they go the average over the two. All right, so 42.619. We got a little bit excited, so it was a second slower than what we thought. All right, so Matt's still got a little bit of work to do. Rod Norton in hot shots, splits 22.169. That's his best split of the day. This boat's continued to find time and go forward. Best has been a 49.016. I reckon that's going to be certainly where they need to be. Heading towards the 48s now, I reckon, to get into the 12. Nice run out of the final corner and goes 48.6. That's definitely going to help. 48.60 improves by 0.4. Good effort, considering this was their first season last year. The organic garlic farmer was born in a very good year, 1971. It was a very outstanding year, that one.
I'll leave that one for you. Wasn't even thought of.
48.6 for Rod Norton. Would Kyle go in the end? 40. So Kyle's lap has changed back to a 42.190. Okay. All right. 7777. Toxicity is out there. So that went back to a 42.19. Blackout Racing, Kyle Elphinstone.
Guys will be looking to get a bit more of this boat out of the water, I think, as the day progresses, as they get confident, because it's throwing a lot of water over the front of the boat, as you can see, and that's going to be a big hindrance to the rider. If you're wearing glasses or something like that, you're going to get a lot of spray out. Not wearing glasses, you'll be doing a lot of blinking.
So the split for Machin was a 24 flat. Actually, their best split, what did it do at the line? 51.619. 51.619. I think they might just be on the outside looking in at the moment. 51.619. So we haven't seen the Steady Eddie boys out, and it's still not on the boat ramp. Nude Nuts B coming in. We've got Jade Atchison on the ramp, Karen Howlett on the ramp, and watch this space, Nate Mullen has gone 41.664. Older brother Bastian's rocked into the 40.9s. So we're looking for a solid mid-18 to improve. He's gone 18.8 to the split. Boat sits so well on the water and the direction changes. How's the lines compared to Bastian, Mitch?
Slightly
that was
different.
wide.
Bastian's lines are definitely neater. Nate's come a long way.
Just lost 2/10 to the sector split. So the first split, it went 19.04. He's He's a little bit down on what he did to do that 41.6 in the previous round. 41.610. So improves by 500ths.
Puts him in the ballpark anyway. He's definitely in contention. He's going to be pretty happy with that as a run overall, but I think he's still going to be wanting to dial in on his brother's 40.94.
So going into the 12, it'll be Bastian, Nate, Matt Malthouse with a 41, actually no, yeah, 41.8. Elphinstone with a 42.1. And then there'll be a smattering of 42s and 43s and behind that. So I reckon that 48 might close up.
Laurie Howlett's there with a mid 43.
Yeah,
Probably.
quite a bunch in the 43s. Right, this is Karen Howlett from Drop Bear B. Still got Jade Atchison on the ramp. No sign of the... What's the boat name? Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie.
All right, so Karen's gone as fast as a 59.64. So I think at the moment she'll be on the outside looking in to try and get into the 12. But again, she's improved throughout the day. Goes to the split at a 27.0 and improves again by 0.2 over her previous best. Good to see they've finally got the boat up and running properly, because I know Laurie was pretty down about the issues they were having under race conditions where it kept shutting down into limp mode when he was driving the thing, but they went out on the lake and it wasn't a problem, but he wasn't hitting the throttle as hard out on the lake, so they've got that sorted. And then he broke the throttle pedal off it earlier on this morning, and since then it's sort of gone better and better as Karen comes down to the line and records a 59.142, another half-second gain. 59.142 for Karen Howlett.
See all the B drivers for LS all starting to roll in here now. So with this being qualifier number 5, we're probably going to see them try and step up a little bit. So there will be, yeah, because how many boats have we got for LS?
18, I thought 18 or 19 entries.
So, you know, they've all got to squeeze in and try and make the top 12 from here.
Jade Atchison in Twisted, boat 777, Stingray hull. She improved to a 45.289 in Q4. Should solidly see her in the 12, improving all throughout the day. Again, remembering she only debuted in this boat in the championship last year. Big wide line onto the entry to the split. Goes 20.641, so a little bit down on her previous best, and it's gone wrong and parked it back in the water.
I think they've left the GPS run from Matt Harris in there, because he does the exact same thing. Come out of that corner.
Is that where he ended up?
That's where he ended up. So come back around.
To gather your sensors back up, put it back in the water and actually bring it home is a bloody good effort. Look, time-wise, it's not going to show it. It blows out to a 48.794. 48.794 with an off-track, but the 45.2 should solidly have her in the 12. Solidly.
Yeah. You can see the lights coming on now, getting ready. So, guys, at the end of this fifth qualifier, sorry, once we see the end of Unlimited, the pits will be open for a walkthrough for a short dinner break. And then when we get back from the dinner break, we'll be starting with the top 12. So as we said just a second ago, we're going to see, what do we got? You say we've got about 18 or 19, so we're going to see 6 or 7 not making it through the top 12 out of this LS. So we want to see a lot of these guys trying to step it up a little bit.
These guys are solidly in, so a 43.92 will have them easily in the 12. Tyler O'Day, Todd McDowell, Aggravation B. Whoa, big jump in the revs. It just big go. Oh, rotation drama. So they'll end up parked on that 43.5. So they'll be in the 12, but a little hiccup in qualifying session 5. think they've corrected it now. Go through the split at a 31.8. I think he's angrily listening to the thing on the harmonics because it is revving hard. Oh, bangs it off the bank over the back. He actually clipped the first one on the front straight, which unset him, and he actually hit the second one through the middle, and then, he's just pulled the pin. No time in Q5. That was, that was on the limit.
A lot of the times, guys, when you do send it a little bit wide and grab the bank, you do get a gut full of grass or mud come up through the jet unit, and you lose, or you get a lot of cavitation because you won't get a smooth flow of water going in through the jet unit. So, like we were just saying, when you hit a bank, it takes a little bit to gather your thoughts, work out where you're at. Especially if you're going through that part of a rotation a couple of times, you got to work out whether it's your first time, your second time, or your third time that you're going through there. So
yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. Seriously. Right, Nude Nuts B. The boat's solidly in the 12 with the A combination, and I would expect that these boys will be too. So Mitch and Harrison have gone into the 43, so they'll be solidly in. So both drivers will be in the 12. To the split with a 19.49, their best split of the day. This could be into the 42s, which would have them solidly in the top 6. Boat looks nice on the water. A couple of little issues. They went gardening a little bit earlier, and the dads went rotational error. This should be a 42, I reckon. There's a 42 in this one. 42.844. Yes, there is. Half a second they just found. 42.844.
Just cemented themselves into the top 12 quite easily.
That's a top 6 easy. Into the 42s. It was just a handful in the 42s. This will be entertaining. Mike Hessel.
Mike, the owner of the boat, taking this out.
So
there.
The Spartan boys are down in front of me. Has he got a second on you at the moment, Luke?
Luke's going to sit here and try and get some driving tips off the boat owner, I think.
Luke's going to punch me in the face later. He's a big unit too. I don't know if I can run fast enough. All right, Mike Hessel.
You've only got to put a second on your mate.
So again, these guys should solidly be in the 12. So I might be a little bit high with that 48 second range. It's probably getting down into the 47s to be in the 12. So Mike Hessel and Jamie Moroney, very experienced Jamie Moroney. Split goes 20.497. Just found 4 tenths.
Straight lined up the back there, so he's starting to work on his lines a bit now, so he gets some boat.
Found 4 tenths to the split. This could be into the 44s. Could be into the 44s. We know it's a very good package. It's won a national title before at the hands of Justin Royal. It's to the line with it is a 44. 44.870. 44.870.
Luke's down here trying to work out what have I got to do now.
Well, both boys should be in the 12, I would have thought. 46 is for borrowed time with Luke. They should be in the 12 as well, but that's impressive from Mike. And you saw that where he picked up a couple of lines and made some gains where he was starting to straighten line areas instead of getting around a couple of times.
I don't know whether he's working on them lines or whether it was a mistake, but
it just happened.
It happened, and it's picked him up where he needs to be. So the boys may be making some changes with the boat as well, which is working with the handling and with the power. So,
all right. So no Steady Eddie or Steady Eddie B did not make the final round. So I don't know if they're working on it to get it out. If they have, they should have qualified. They were in that 47 second range, and Jody was in the 48, so I reckon that'd sort of be on the bubble. Right, Simon Doyle in the Mistress, back into Group A. We sort of jump ahead in the sheets here, a little bit out of sequence as they go first, and Jody's going to get into the boat a little bit later on.
See Simon's sort of still fairly conservative with his package. He's still easing himself into having a crack in this Group A. He was running, I think he was running unlimited last year because he was running the methanol. It's sort of a bit of a test pony for the methanol injected alloy headed Group A engine.
Split went 22.2, so he's found 7/10. This is only his third run because he didn't do the first 2 qualifying sessions with a ring gear issue. It's all fun and games till you break your ring gear. Down to the line, this should improve to a 48.798. 48.798, so that beats his previous best of a 51.1.
As you can see, guys, the sun's starting to stick its head down a little bit, which is going to cause havoc to a few of the drivers out there when you get that spray that comes across.
So what's the ruling on if they get to the line? What signal do they do to say that they're going to pull the pin?
Obviously, if you're coming back in towards the sun, if you back off and put your hand up,
do we have to rerun the whole round?
I'm not sure how that works.
We had that happen here at Temora 1 here last year. I think Daryl Hutton might have pulled it as the sun was quite low and pretty glary as we got Matt Lecott back out there. And this is the Gone Nuts.
Andrew was actually racing a couple of years ago in the LS class after his big hiatus. He was running in the boat which is now disturbed with the LS in it.
Oh, okay.
So he done a few meetings for that, but then we had the Weezer come in and upset absolutely everything we done.
Oh, I just figured out what you're calling as the Weezer.
Yeah, I don't like using the real word.
The fancy flu.
Yeah.
The spicy flu.
The flu.
I wondered what you were talking about before when you said Weezer. They're a really good band.
Yeah.
I wondered what they had to do with jet sprinting, but anyway.
The cunt flew when it come in and sort of shut everything down. I think Nutsy was around about that time where he stood back and he sold the boat, he sold it off to Darren.
50.922, their fastest lap of the day. So again, heading in the right direction in Q5. 50.922 for the Gone Nuts team.
We're getting the Group A guys, so what do we got here?
Actually, no, they went 50.895 in the previous one, so they'll look within a couple of hundredths of it, so they're right on what they were doing. Napick.
2 out, we've got Danny Napick coming in now and Toughen Up.
Geez, they're all out of sequence.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. I can see the Sun Tough PSP entry from Ollie Silverton just backing in on the ramp now. But
Sun Tough and Toughen Up. Right, so Danny's gone 43.279. 43.279. A little bit of cloud behind us just takes that sun element out of the equation.
Danny's just had a bit of a hesitation there. Started looking at the left. Later in the rotation, you do take that as a left. So, coming through that corner 3 times makes it easy to set yourself up to remember which part you're actually at.
No split on this one, so this will be a manual timing. A little bit untidy to the split. I think they have been as fast as a 20.18 to the split, and look, they'll certainly be up there. They're not on the pace of Brendan Doyle. But if someone makes a mistake and blinks, they will be in the mix. Finished on the podium before last season. Manual time confirmation coming up. Looking to go better than a 43.279. I don't think it was quicker than that. They have gone as fast as a 43.279. Won't jump the gun on it this time. I didn't think that was as quick as that lap in Q3.
Might have been a low 44 there.
Oh, Nostradamus with a 44.095.
44.095. Don't get much lower in 44s than that. That was
good on you, Nostradamus.
Nolly burning out here in the quiet time boat. Having absolute all still having a few issues with keeping the back end of that boat in the water bottoms.
Yeah, that was a big cavitation.
Back of the boat just floating around a little bit.
So these boys have been in the 47.9s in the previous round for their best. They've been chasing the boat, as Mitch said. goes to the split at a 21.510. That's up there with their best, so can they go better than a 47.9? First little part of the lap was a little bit untidy, as Mitch said. A little bit of a bounce out towards the edge of the bank onto the front, straight in front of the crowd, out the back. 2 sequences to go through the middle here.
Nice.
Oh, that was a good recovery though.
Bumpy, gnarly, very...
Into the 48s, yeah, 48.37, 48.37. Got a little bit untidy just towards the end there, but again, they've got through the day and they will go through. Ooh, we're only going to take 6 out of the 7, aren't we? So, or do they do the 12? I suppose with 7 boats. I suppose with 7 boats they'll do the 12.
We got Brendan Doyle hasn't fronted up yet either with the Pulse girlfriend entry. They had them issues their last run. Maybe they're just sitting it out to nurse it with that boat coming in.
Find out during dinner.
Yeah, we'll find out during the dinner break. We've
Right.
got Ollie Silverton, our New Zealand imports here for the. Just had confirmation through. Doyle's out.
Wow.
Whether he jumps in another boat, I'm not sure.
Well, the other boat's already been driven by Jody, his championship nemesis. Oh, Ollie's trying hard here to the split with a 19.246. Matches what he did in Q3. 19.246. So he hasn't managed to crack into the 41s yet. Got close with a 42.3 in Q3. Little lift over the back there on the front side. He's trying hard. He's got some RPM going. Mid 42, I'm thinking. 42.25. 42.25. 9 for Ollie Silverton and PSP Racing. So, well, what have they heard on the pulse? JRE.
Sure. For them to be out, it's had that cough and a splutter, and it came in here sounding like a chaff cutter. So
it dropped a cylinder first. I heard that go down, and then it systematically sounded like it dropped more.
Now that was a very, very that sound was exactly like mine. So when I come through here and I had a blocked injector nozzle, had a lean out, and melted a bridge between the cylinders. So hopefully that hasn't been the issue that Brendan's seen. Hopefully it's just a plug or something like that. They don't want to hurt it.
So can you jump into an already double-entered boat? Can he jump back into the Mistress, which is his brother Simon's boat?
He has to qualify, so he can't go into...
Because he has... Okay.
Oh! Huey's out.
Upside down, recovery crew. So they're hanging in the bouts, they're moving around. Got that run on the run down to the split. So our recovery team are now getting wet.
Navigator's out.
Navigator's out. Well, we haven't had too much of that going on today.
No.
Hughes well and truly got that wrong. So Norell's out of the boat, guys. Safety crew from probably the most awkward part of the track for the recovery crew to get to because they've got to come from both sides.
Rails out. Hughes
out of the boat, guys. Put your hands together, folks. Oh, it was actually Hugh out first.
Sorry, yep, they're upside down. That's why they're on the opposite side. But yeah, Hughes out first. Norell took a little bit to get out.
Picked up a bit of dirt and mud and that on the top of the boat when it was sort of skating across on the roll cage as it just picked up the front of the bank. Sort of a little bit unsighted where we are because it's right behind the Penrite signage on that little crossover bridge in front of us. So a little bit of downtime here while I get this boat righted and recovered. That was so. Has he clipped the end of the island on turn into the split?
I think so. Or he's just come in, turned in a lot earlier than he thought.
This is not a good time to say that boat was for sale. Sorry, Hugh. Well, he's been asking me to talk about it all day. Not my fault. All right. So, hey, look, the best thing is they're both out of the boat. They're both okay. Good job, recovery crew. It's taken you all day, but you've got wet. Now you're going to get cold.
Well, we've got a couple of quiet minutes while they're performing this rescue. I'd like to thank a few of the people that make the racing happen today. So we've got Kennard's Hire. They've jumped on board for the last season or so, helping out with a few things. You know, the guys out of Wagga always, you know, happy to help wherever they can.
They do a great job. Brendo's not here. He went to his daughter's netball finals.
So we've got Penrite Oils, as you can see up on the hill there. Penrite have been jumping on board for the last couple of seasons to help keep the lights on here at the V8 Superboats. Go up and have a chat to the Penrite guys and girls. They've probably got a lot of their customers here, so if you want to get some good oil, go and have a chat to them and find out who they need to be talking to, who you need to be talking to stock up your oil. Just the team in general behind the Superboats. You know, we've got a lot of committee members and people that aren't on the committee, but, you know, they go out of their way to make things happen, you know, can't do it without them. All our Kiwi, our New Zealand teams that have come over and want to get amongst it over here, you know, they obviously, they can see the competition over here is fairly fierce, as we've seen today.
If we're going to talk about that, Mitch, I mean, you've got to thank yourself and your guys for helping Ollie and those guys out, picking the boat up from the wharves in Sydney and taking it back to your base in Forbes and transporting it over here for them as well. So that sort of comes into the equation too.
Yep, no, happy to help wherever we can, you know. It's a great sport. We love being a part of it, so we don't mind going out of our way to make it happen, to grow the sport and grow the competition. I'd like to also thank Inner Sales, a local machinery dealer here in Temora. These guys have sort of come on board over the last, well, probably 10 or so years, you know, happy to always jump in and help out where they can, supplying us with a bit of JCB telehandler down here to help with any rescues or moving anything around. Those guys have, you know, always put their hand up to help out where they can. Rand's Electrical, as you can see, the lights are on now, so that's not possible without the guys in Rand's Electrical.
And the cool thing about these lights, guys, if you've never seen them come down, they're actually are they hydraulically operated, Mitch, where they've actually got to be lowered because we are literally off the end of the runway at the airfield next door.
Yeah, so they've got to be raised and lowered. So just got a little power pack that runs around to stand them up. Yeah, so we've got to put in an application to have these lights up because of our location, so that they can warn people as they're coming in for landing. There is a thing to let them know that there is an event on here and they can't approach too low.
If you look to the right of the spectator area, we are literally looking down the centre line of the runway at Temora Airport. So it's it's pretty cool. The Hudson flew out of the airfield here last year, straight up over the top of us. It was really cool.
I've actually been here. One of our test days that we were here a couple of years ago, and they had the Spitfires flying around.
Oh,
so
awesome.
We spent more time watching them than we did worrying about racing.
If you've never seen the museum at the airfield, go and have a look. I got an opportunity to look at it last year, and it's cool. And look, my grandfather flew in the Royal New Zealand Air Force, flew Lockheed Hudsons. The only Lockheed Hudson flying example in the world is at the museum. And I'm staying down at the airfield hotel accommodation right next door to the museum, and I'm ironically in the Hudson room, which is pretty cool.
Righto, guys, just had word through. We're going to have the dinner break now for half an hour, so if you want to go down into the pits, have a look around. Now's your time. I think it's a gold coin donation. Gina will be there with a bucket. Throw it in, go around, have a look, have a talk to a couple of guys. We've got about half an hour. We want to get back on racing by 5 o'clock, try and get on top of everything. But, yeah, good opportunity to go down through the pits, have a look at these machines, have a talk to the drivers. You know, if you want to get involved with a team, go and have a chat to someone. They might be looking for someone to help back a boat in at another meeting or something like that. You know, that's generally where it starts for a lot of us.
Yeah, look, the cheapest way to get into motorsport is to become a volunteer or hook up with one of the teams, become one of our recovery teams. Best way to get, you got the best seat in the house, and yeah, we look after you with some food and stuff. Same with motor racing, circuit racing, speedway, karting, whatever. Cheapest way to get into motorsport is become a motorsport volunteer. It's the greatest place to start from. And look, you get to see some fantastic events around Australia and be a part of it. And who knows, you might end up flag marshalling at Bathurst or some of the supercar events and being part of the Penrite team with Grove Racing up there on the hill. All right, so half an hour, lunch break, dinner break. It's a little bit of a sun strike break as well. And we'll be back into the conclusion of Q4 for Superboats. One more run in Group A from Jody Ely in the Mistress, and we'll go find out what's happening with Brendan Doyle and whether or not he's going to be able to run and get through into the 12 with the issues they've got with the girlfriend boat, and then into the finals. Top 12, top 6, top 3, and the Colin Parish Memorial.
Penrite, Australian-made, family-owned and operated. Make premium quality engine and racing oils, warranty-approved coolants, automatic transmission and manual gear oils, a complete range of engine and fuel additives, heavy-duty and industrial products for every application. Visit penriteoil.com for more information. Penrite, Australian-made for Australian conditions since 1926.
For anyone that has not seen V8 Superboats up close, make sure you get yourself to an event at some point during the year. We're at Temora to kick off the new season in early September before returning to Keith in mid-October ahead of the final round of the calendar year back at the Cabarita circuit on the north coast of New South Wales. February sees a double header in the New South Wales Riverina with events at Temora and Griffith, whilst the season comes to its conclusion at the annual Keith Show in late March.
see the front of the way that he did this, actually holding the front of the boat right up.
Like that? Oh, I'm alright, good. Yeah, I'm good.
Good dog? Yeah. Like that?
After a 5-month sabbatical, we're back and bigger than ever with what promises to be one of the best seasons in recent memory. Temora sets the scene for the opening round of the new-look Penrite Australian Championships with an impressive field of entries, 36 all up, including both reigning world champions, Australian Fonzie Mullen and New Zealander Ollie Silverton. Mullen, of course, is the reigning and 8-time Australian Unlimited Superboat champion. His 2018 world title, though, a distant memory thanks to the effects of the global pandemic. But with the next World Series expected to come in 2025 in New Zealand, the 2023-24 Penrite Australian Championship provides the perfect platform from which everyone can gauge just where they sit on the world stage. For Mullen, he remains the benchmark in the unlimited category, but just recently the 9-time Australian champion elected to move away from twin-turbo development to focus his efforts solely on the development of his GM Motorsport naturally aspirated engines. Having been at the forefront of twin-turbo development, Mullen's decision may just allow drivers like reigning New Zealand champion Rob Colley to continue that development curve into 2025. Colley having taken delivery of Mullen's latest twin-turbo engine to add to a collection that includes a number of engine and hull packages that have their own world title winning histories. He also has 2016 Unlimited World Champion Glenn Head in his corner working on engine development, so he is more than ready for what's to come. Colley, though, has had mixed fortunes in Australia in past seasons, but like Mullen, he has almost unlimited resources and is desperate to add a world title to his name. A chance to go head-to-head with Mullen on Australian soil this season, the perfect opportunity to see just where the benchmark will be heading into that next World Championship. Without question, this will be the battle of the unlimited field this season, but don't discount Mullen playing a cool hand. Sure, he'd like nothing more than to add another Australian crown to his already impressive resume, but a 10th national title versus a second world crown might just see some sandbagging during the season as he looks to keep his cards close to his chest. Whilst the reigning Oz #1 and the reigning New Zealand #1 go head-to-head, there will be challenges. Chris Edmonds showed last season that he has the pace to push the mighty hazardous machine that Slade Stanley took to a dominant win in the 2019 Australian Championships. That lightweight NA package prompting Mullen's change of philosophy to focus on the lightweight naturally aspirated route. Sharing the driving duties last season with 2-time Australian champion Daryl Hutton, Edmonds showed just how quick he could be, and with some more weight saving and performance tweaking in the off-season, alongside his role as the only driver of the popular Blue Boat this season, he has been marked as the wild card in the field, with plenty of focus on the wild. Hutton too cannot be discounted. 2 quick visits to his home country last season as second drivers to Edmonds in yet another new boat saw the expat Kiwi claim 2 outright unlimited wins. And while some suggested he may have been lucky, in this sport you're rarely lucky twice. Back in his twin-turbo Stinger that Edmonds drowned during the opening round last season, Hutton has also been working on taking weight from the American automotive machine. And if he succeeded, could well be another driver to watch come finals time. But he won't be alone. Tyler Finch having made some big moves during the off-season and also with a far faster built twin-turbo power plant. He too could push the leaders, making for a very interesting season ahead. Sadly though, we'll be without the mighty maniac, Tremaine Duke electing to stay on the sidelines for the opening round to continue development of his twin-turbo powered machine. To return at Keith in March after many years tucked away in a garage highlighted by teething issues. Duke's admitting that he will only return once the boat is capable of fighting for a world title. So let's take a look at the entry list for the opening round. Mullen leads the charge with the coveted #1 plate, but he'll have no shortage of competition with Rob Colley, Chris Edmonds, Daryl Hutton, Tyler Finch and local hero Scott Krause in the mix. But don't discount Sam Everingham in the mighty Excalibur or reigning Oz #4 Glenn Spider Roberts. Both are capable of making the podium. Whilst the thunderous unlimited machines will have the fans on their feet, arguably the battle of the season will come in 400 class. The last 2 seasons have seen some fantastic racing, albeit with slightly condensed fields. However, the battle for outright honours has been a big highlight and promised to be again before the news of the addition of reigning world champion Ollie Silverton came to pass. During the Australian-based 2018 World Championships, Silverton was the standout performer in International Group A, the New Zealander coming in hot to all but embarrass the leading Australian teams with lap times that were effectively light years faster than the local teams in the tightly regulated category. That was 2018, but things have moved forward in the last 5 years and Silverton may get a surprise, as might the Australians. But that again is part of the reason he's here as we shape up for a World Championship battle in early 2025. For reigning Australian champion Brendan Doyle, he can't wait and is prepared for whatever the opening round delivers, understanding that the perfect way to extract your best is to go head-to-head with the best, and at this stage, the reigning New Zealand and world champion is just that. Like the unlimited class though, the 2 reigning champions won't have it all their own way. Doyle and Silverton likely to find some spirited opposition, not the least from the driver who narrowly missed both the 2021 and 2022 titles, Victorian Jody Ely. Ely is one of 3 teams that is now campaigning the new Australian-made Pulse hull, which will see a battle in itself as a number of local teams switch from the successful New Zealand-made hulls to Daniel Chambers' Pulse, a product which won both the Unlimited and 400 class Australian titles last year. Ely also has a fresh new power plant and renewed enthusiasm after falling agonisingly short of the 2022 title, and he's out to make amends. 2019 title holder Justin Roylance will also campaign a new Pulse package, but he will sadly miss the season opener due to some parts delays. Hugh Gilchrist's new Matrix package also likely to be held up by parts deliveries, but both are expected to make their debuts at Keith on October 14. Throw in reigning Oz number 3 Danny Napick in his new Sprint Tech that he debuted at the penultimate round last season, now complete with a new more powerful engine, and you have the ingredients for another tasty title fight. Reigning champion Brendan Doyle leads the field with the Oz number 1 firmly engraved on the side of the boat. But it's world number 1 Ollie Silverton that likely starts favourite, although he will have to come to terms with the new Australian 400 class regulations, which will see him campaigning methanol and aluminium heads for the first time. Jody Elia's reigning Oz number 2 will also be in the mix, as will Danny Napick in his revised Toughen Up package, while Simon Doyle in the original Girlfriend will have plenty to keep him company with Hugh Gilchrist, Noel Verning and former 350 class champion Andrew Medlicott well in the mix. And whilst the 2 long-standing categories will no doubt enjoy much of the fan focus, the emerging LS class will also see some fantastic action as the relatively new category pushes for its inclusion into the next World Series. A scenario which has also attracted a number of entries from across the Tasman looking to build on their experiences against arguably the benchmark in the sport, 2-time Australian champion Bastian Mullen. Like his title-winning father, Mullen was the standout last season, completing a whitewash of the championship, father and son claiming 7 unobstructed wins apiece. Whilst both line up as undeniable favourites in their respective classes, both will face renewed and revitalised competition. For Bastian Mullen, his greatest threat could well come from his younger brother Nate, who was one of the standout performers of the closing rounds of last season. Whilst for 2019 champion Kyle Elphinston, he is determined to turn the tables on his younger rivals and has been working tirelessly across the off-season to develop a package capable of returning him to the top step of the podium. Elphinston won't be the only one looking to challenge the reigning champions. The father and son duo of Matt and Mitch Malthouse will also be back in contention. The younger of the 2 drivers showing at home in Keith that despite only a few short races behind the wheel, but he has the ability to threaten the leaderboard. The Keith locals determined to be a part of the title fight, but like Unlimited and 400s, they too will face some fire from across the pond. Like Australia, LS class is developing quickly in New Zealand, and 2 regulars in their championship have combined forces to make an assault on the Penrite Australian Championships. LS regular Matt Nan joined by 400 class frontrunner Matt Harrod, the pair expecting to be joined by additional New Zealand-based LS class entries across the season, making for yet another enticing battle at the Anzacs. For the fans though, the action doesn't stop there, with a number of new teams making their Penrite Series debuts, joined by others with new or updated equipment, making for what promises to be one of the most entertaining seasons on record. And in all of this, we have to remember that this round also signals the return of the perpetual Colin Parrish Memorial Trophy, awarded to the most consistent team across all finals. Last season it was taken out by teenage sensation Bastian Mullen, and before that by local favourite Scott Krause. As for who will win the coveted prize this season, that's anyone's guess. So stay with us this weekend. If you can't join us on the bank at Lake Centenary, we'll be streaming from mid-afternoon Saturday, whilst a highlights program will go to air in about a month's time on 7 Mate. And for anyone wanting a review of the 2022 season to get themselves fired up for Saturday's action, you can catch that on demand on Australia's leading subscription service, 7plus. So what is a V8 Superboat? Born out of necessity in New Zealand in the 1950s as a way to negotiate the many shallow and rocky waterways scattered around the country, competition soon followed, with the Kiwis leading early development before Australia and the USA discovered the sport years later. These days, the bulk of the boats have moved away from early fiberglass designs to aluminium for strength and rigidity, with custom manufacturers turning out dedicated race hulls, the bulk of which still come from New Zealand. In Australia, there are 3 classes of competition. The developmental LS class, which provides a lower cost entry level to the sport, then the 2 internationally sanctioned classes of International Group A, also known as 400 class, and the unrestricted Unlimited Superboat category. Introduced to replace the outdated 350 class, the LS class features the popular Chevrolet LS V8 power plant, either 5.7, 6 or 6.2 litre, effectively in stock form running on pump fuel. Variations are allowed in the interests of reliability under race conditions, but essentially engines run up to 600 brake horsepower with a focus on driver skill rather than technical prowess.
Well, the category for me at least is a very simple category. It's a sportsman kind of category. You've got very similar engines. You can go to the max spec of each class, but everyone has to be on par. So it comes down to a lot more driving. That's kind of what appeals to me with it. You've kind of really got to have your jet unit, your boat, your engine all working together to make sure you're up at that pointy end.
400 class has long been a mainstay of V8 superboats, with all boats running 412 cubic inch cast iron V8 engines with tightly controlled regulations.
400 class, also known as International Group A, we've got a pretty strict set of engine rules. These engines are making upwards of 700 horsepower now. And I think when the rules were originally designed, they might have been making 500 or 600 horsepower. So we've got to run a cast iron cylinder head, we've got to run a single 4-barrel manifold, we've got to run a carburetor with certain size butterflies in it. We have to run in Australia an unleaded 100 octane race fuel. So that limits what sort of power we can make. They're not a cheap animal, but the racing is generally very close.
Unlimited Superboats is just that. Effectively anything goes with boats powered by some of the most outrageous power plants available.
You can come with any kind of configuration engine. We've seen rotaries, turbo, then supercharged. We've got turbo 6 cylinders. The most common one is the V8, of course, the aluminium V8. It's pretty much open, but the more things you throw in it, the more weight, the less nimble it gets. Our sport is, let's say, 50 seconds maximum for a run. In that 50 seconds, there's going to be probably about an average of 30 corners. It's not the most horsepower, it's who can get around those corners and carry the speed around the corners the most.
Events are held on purpose-built courses that feature a sequence of channels that are just a metre deep and often not much wider than the boats, with course directions running through a series of islands. The track direction is determined ahead of the event, with teams forced to memorise the direction to be successful. An error in navigation left unchecked can see you back on the trailer for good. Often there are 30 to 40 intersections to negotiate over laps that traditionally run between 40 and 50 seconds. Every team competes against the clock, with 4 to 5 qualifying rounds setting the field from fastest to slowest. The fastest 12 boats in each class contest the first final, with the fastest 6 of those boats progressing to the second final. From there, the field is halved again to a final 3, who shoot out one last time to set the podium for each round. Points are amassed from every one of the 7 rounds, with a team's 6 best point scoring rounds setting their total for the year, with a very tight point system that rewards consistency.
So for the public, if we could have you clear out of the pit area, please. You've got 4 minutes to head towards the gate. Back up onto the hill, please. Need the pits cleared by 5 minutes. And for our qualifying top 12, actually, no, it won't be them going to the boat ramp, will it? It'll be last boat in Group A and then Superboat Quali 5. So, but those are the top qualifiers, top 12 in LS anyway, but I'm pretty sure going to the boat ramp will be our last boat in Group A and then the Superboat boys.
Penrite, Australian made, family owned and operated. Make premium quality engine and racing oils, warranty approved coolants, automatic transmission and manual gear oils, a complete range of engine and fuel additives, heavy duty and industrial products for every application. Visit penriteoil.com for more information. Penrite, Australian made for Australian conditions since 1926.
For anyone that has not seen V8 Superboats up close, make sure you get yourself to an event at some point during the year. We're at Temora to kick off the new season in early September before returning to Keith in mid-October ahead of the final round of the calendar year back at the Cabarita Circuit on the north coast of New South Wales. February sees a double header in the New South Wales Riverina with events at Temora and Griffith, whilst the season comes to its conclusion at the annual Keith Show in late March.
Okay guys, so our last Group A boat, so Jody and the Mistress, need you on the boat ramp pretty much now please, Jody and the Mistress on the boat ramp, and Superboats Quali 5 right in behind and heading down towards the water please to complete your 5th qualifying session, and then we'll be into the 12 for LS, 12 for Superboat, then we go 6s LS Group A Superboat, and then the 3s. Alright, so Jody and the Mistress onto the boat ramp, and Superboat Quali 5 heading towards the boat ramp now, please.
Let's sell these race boats, Cole. These look like heaps of fun.
And for the guys in the pits, just repeating that top 12, if you're not sure, come and ask, but the top 12 for LS, Rip Shift A and B, Nude Nuts A, Blackout Racing, Nude Nuts B, Aggravation B, Drop Bear A, Borrowed Time B, Twisted A and B, Disturbed Borrowed Time A. That's your 12 for LS. Jody and the Mistress to the boat ramp, and Superboat to the boat ramp, Quali 5 please. Should be back into racing very, very shortly here, folks, at Temora. Thank you for hanging around, and hope you enjoyed the pit tour, catching up with some of the teams and the boats. I think Chris Edmonds and the Piston Broke Jet Sprinting team handed out about 3 million stickers. Colin Parish Memorial here at Temora, and round number 1 of the 2023-24 Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships. Mistress team, you guys coming up for the last run in Group A, round 5, quali 5. Jody and the Mistress. All right, had a little bit of a catch-up down in the pits. Mitch has been down there as well. So Brendan Doyle, they've heard an engine. So when it dropped a cylinder, it actually, I don't know if it broke the push rod, but definitely bent the push rod in one of the cylinders and pushed a little bit of oil around and might have hurt some other stuff as well, but certainly not happy. The boat's under the cover, and that is done for the defending series champ, Mitch.
The boys decided to park it up rather than risk it. There was talk of trying to rob some parts off another boat to get it going, but they've decided don't push their luck.
And the other one, I had a quick look at. The boys went there at the boat, but the borrowed time boys were next door, and you were right with that bucket issue earlier on. So whatever issue they've had there is terminal, so that boat's under recover as well. So that's why it didn't come back out for the last round. The Steady Eddie A and B team, they've really impressed me here today. They've done a really, really good job. So disappointing they're not going to finish the day, but hey, we've still got lots of racing left to go here with the completion of round 5 of qualifying for one last boat in Group A, Jody Ely. If he comes back out, we're just waiting to see if he is. Superboat, he might run off the back of Superboat actually. Superboat quali 5 after that stunning exchange between Rob Coley and Fonzie Mullen. They both reckon they've got time up their sleeve. Now, someone pointed out into the pit to me during the pit walk and the dinner break, Mitch, that a gentleman by the name of Slade Stanley, you may have heard of him, 2.5, 3 years ago here on this rotation went 37.6.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
What have we seen so far? I've seen a 38, wasn't it?
38.3, so half a second plus to sort of find to get to that time. So, yeah, Slade set a 37.6 back here about 2.5 to 3 years ago, last time this rotation was used. So that was pointed out in the pits, and I actually went and grabbed Slade myself, and he went, yeah, oh, look, these guys will go past that. The boats are lighter, faster. Sounded like Steve Majors from The $1 Million Man, Lee Majors. All right, so the superboats are lining up, getting warmed up in the boat ramp area to complete qualifying session number 5. What was that bubble time we figured out? So borrowed time A for LS. Borrowed time A, 49, 47. It was actually a 46.4 to get you into the 12. So I was definitely light. I thought it was going to be in the 48s. You needed to do a 46.4 to get you into the 12. So those that missed out, dropped their B, Steady Eddie A and B, they wouldn't have made it back out there. Solid Gold, Lance Edmonds, where did they go? So Solid Gold, they were in the 47s. So a 47 wasn't enough to get in. So that was that just shows you how competitive that LS class is. With a 46 needed to get into the top 12. That's impressive.
Yeah, right. So seven had to sit out, unfortunately, but you know that's where racing gets interesting. Through, you know, we've seen with smaller numbers over the last couple of years until the introduction of this LS class. Most people were a shoe-in to get, as long as they qualified, they got into the 12. But now you've actually got a race for the 12 to keep going.
More so with the double entry boats. So the guys that have got both boats into the 12, that's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, no, good effort.
All right, so we've got the first of the LS boats already starting to get into the queue to get into the water, so that's good to see. They'll be up and ready to go. So the Mistress boat is heading towards the boat ramp. So Jody Ely will be on the water to go to Q5. So no Brendan Doyle, the reigning Australian champ, will not finish the day.
I thought maybe we might have seen Jody just sit it out, like just to preserve, like he's already made
I just
it.
asked your brother that and he went, no way. No way. But you look, my thinking was along the same lines as you. But look, hey, it's on. It's motor racing. Like the gesture to put Jody in that boat in the first place is pretty impressive. And then unfortunately Brendan's had an issue, and yeah, it's just the way that it is, I suppose. Asked Kyle Elphinstone what his problem was earlier on when it had that really weird noise down the end, and he said it was an overcharge, so the battery overcharged, and he said the electronics, like the Motec's actually supposed to sort that out, so it must have affected the ignition in some way, shape or form to do what it did, so it didn't shut it down or hurt the engine. It was something electrical to do with overcharging the battery, which, didn't we hear something along the same lines of the Chaos, but they were charging batteries in between rounds? So
yeah, I think they must have had an alternator issue the other way where it wasn't charging, so they skipped around so that they could get enough charge back in the battery to get them through. So hopefully between the break they got all that sorted, and we'll see how it goes from there.
So we might just still be slightly on hold with the sun maybe not quite low enough down behind us at the moment just to cut down that glare. And talking to Hugh Gilchrist, I think that was part of his reasoning of his issue. He actually got caught out by the glare before he did what he did. Look, they're both A-OK. I think Hugh's probably looking like he's broken his nose.
Didn't make him any prettier, that's for sure.
No, he's certainly no oil painting. Sorry, Hugh. But yeah, our first aid team, thank you very, very much for your help, and to the rest of you guys getting to the boat. Made a little bit of a mess. The way that it ended up digging into the ground with the roll cage just down here in front of us, it was a little bit of an odd one. But good to see that they're okay. And yes, the boat is still for sale. It will be repaired. So just a slight hold here. I think we're just waiting for this sunstrike to end, and then we'll get back into it. So the conclusion of qualifying session 5 for Group A and Superboat, and then we go top 12 LS, top 12 Superboat, because we've got 6 in Group A. We don't need to run them in the 12. And then we'll go 6 LS, 6 Group A, 6 Superboat, and then to the finals. The top 3 out of the top 6 to face each other. Now, over these 3 rounds of finals, we are also now looking for the Colin Parish Memorial winner with the closest aggregate over the 3 times in the 3 final runs. So you need to get through to the final to be able to do that, obviously. Bastian Mullen won it here last year. So our timing guys will be pretty busy trying to get that sorted out as well for the Colin Parish Memorial. just waiting for the sun to get a little bit lower. I think over the back side of the course, the far end there with the angle here at the front's probably not so bad. So we're just waiting for that to come down a little bit more. So just one more time in the pit area for our top 12 in LS. So these boats have qualified for the top 12 in LS. Ripshift A, Ripshift B, Nude Nuts A, Blackout Racing, Nude Nuts B, Aggravation B, Drop Bear A, Borrowed Time B, Twisted B, Twisted A, Disturbed and Borrowed Time A. Right? That's our 12 for LS. Just keeping an eye on our race director, Brooke. He's over on the far side of the circuit again. It's the sunstrike that we've got the issue with at the moment. So if one boat goes out and gets handicapped by it, well, then it's not fair on everyone else. So we're going to make it a level playing field with the lights activated. So until that sun just comes down a little bit lower and just takes that far side out of the glare issue, and it's just that lower angle over the bank behind us more than anything. Probably half of it's not too bad at the moment, but it's that far side where the issue is. So our race director's over there at the moment just having a look at that. So just bear with us, folks. We're just waiting for this sun to come down a little bit lower, and then we'll get back into the action, concluding round 5 of Superboat qualifying and Group A, and then into our top 12 for LS. Top 12 for Superboat, so they don't have an awful lot of time to turn back around, but they've got 12 boats to run before they get back out there. And then we'll be into the top 6s across all 3 classes. So because we've got 6 boats left in Group A, they don't need to do a 12. All right, so we'll take them through to the 6 when we go top 6 LS, top 6 Group A, top 6 Superboat. And then the fastest 3 in each of those classes go through to the finals for the top 3. And we'll figure out who's won some trophies here this weekend at Temora for the first round of the Penrite Australian V8 Superboat Championships.